On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're heading to Brooklyn, New York to explore 3 extraordinary homes, each brimming with eclectic style and vibrant artwork. First, we'll step into a stunning townhome where 2 artists infuse their love of fashion into every corner, using bold colors and striking art, plus a dedicated space for their impressive vinyl collection. Next, we'll tour a lively family home that layers modern design with playful patterns, cherished memories, and deeply personal artwork. Finally, we'll visit a welcoming apartment that celebrates self-expression through a dynamic mix of bold hues, curated pieces, and original art. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Weddingworthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
Oh, hello there. Hey, Homeworthy. I'm Skylar.
I'm Tammy.
And welcome to our Brooklyn townhouse. Why don't you come on in?
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Skylar. We're both multidisciplinary artists, so we do a wide variety of things.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of luxury content marketing across lifestyle, home, fashion.
Fashion.
Yeah, and I feel like we've been, go ahead.
Creative direction.
Yep, creative direction, consultation work on the brand end. We're just both big lovers of art and poetry, and so we do everything we can to infuse that into our work.
Yeah.
We are currently in Brooklyn, New York. We're both born and raised in Georgia, actually. His family's from Nigeria.
Yours is Barbados. Only, 30 minutes away from each other?
Absolutely. We grew
Georgia?
up 30 minutes away from each other in
Without
Georgia.
knowing.
Had no idea until we met. And yeah, we've been together ever since. I've been here about maybe 7
years. I've been here about 6 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I've been in New York for 11 years, and Tammy's been here for 6 years. So this is the entryway into our home, and one of the most integral parts, in my opinion, because it is the first thing people see, and first impressions are everything.
Everything.
Absolutely. So we were actually thinking a lot about how, when it came to people entering the space, how kind of uncomfortable it might be to be immediately greeted by the back of our couch. Mm-hmm. So we decided to greet people with our conversation pieces, our coffee table books.
And our coffee table books really speak to us and who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
You'll find a wide array,
honestly, everything. We've got Black
Lacedaemon,
Futures.
Legis, Outside the Frame,
Yep.
Thames and Hudson. We have our friend Joe Kenneth there at the bottom.
Absolutely. Tyler Mitchell's I Can Make You Feel Good, Black Futures, of course, Black Fashion Fair. It was our first edition, and so it's still in the plastic, still in the acrylic box. We are not playing games
I'm not
about
taking
that
out until 2062.
We'll give it to our kids as kids.
Yeah.
We also have Afro Atlantic, writing the future with Basquiat and the hip hop future generation.
We have some Hayao Miyazaki over there. We are both big Studio Ghibli fans.
Absolutely. Big Japanese, anime, storytelling, craft fan. So because of Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki was an easy choice to have.
Too easy.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Totoro.
Absolutely. And then so we also have a piece by Maya Beverly. She's my cousin and also a brilliant artist. We wanted sculpture and color to play into the space, just to, again, add texture in a really fun way.
Yeah, I really wanted, your visual senses to be well fed when you walk through the door.
And to give you something to talk about, we are yappers, but just in case we run out of things to say, we have books to talk about. Let the people know we're well read. And then on this side of the entry, because we haven't painted all of our downstairs area.
Well, this one is by my favorite artist.
You like her?
Yeah, she's great. Love her, actually.
Well, it's me, that's why. I actually love arts and crafts. Tammy loves me, so he lets me play around and put things up in our home. You'll see another piece that I've also done as we move through the space. But we wanted something that, again, was really big, larger than life, welcoming as people walked into the space. And so it's really just homey because we have this piece that I've created and then also a vintage bench that we sourced. And then just a lot of like organic pieces that play into the space to make it feel fun and at home.
Yeah.
So as we move into the living room area, we have our favorite couch by Sarah Ellison.
Skylar wanted a conversation pit
I
in our
wanted
home.
a conversation pit so badly.
And I was like, we're not gonna drill into the floor of this home. But this is literally the next best thing. I mean, you want to sit down in it?
Absolutely, we have to show them like the full.
Like you can get so deep in it. It doubles as a bed, a couch.
It has been used as a bed to mine.
An actual conversation pit.
It was tough, but
That's nice.
We knew that this was something that was an easy add because it's super timeless, and then also something that people could feel really comfortable.
People love this couch.
Yeah, it's
just as much as
definitely
we
a
do.
focal piece of the space. We actually started with this couch and we just decided to build. So you'll see a lot of pieces from our Nordic knots rug. The coloring is really fun. We also have this really dope side chair that Tammy is obsessed with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did
My
you say
favorite.
it reminds you of? Like the front of a car.
An old school Chevy.
Yeah, absolutely, which is like really vibey. And you'll see a lot of textures kind of playing into the space in a fun way.
Yeah, this one's beautiful too from Anthropology.
Absolutely.
This is our plant.
The love of the love of Tammy's life. He's put
Basil.
so much life into this plant. I will call out too, Tammy and I love to travel, and when we travel, the biggest way we pass our time outside of reading and taking lots of cute pictures is actually by playing chess.
Yeah, I actually started playing chess in middle school and I never stopped there. It's just a great way to have conversation, keep your brain active.
He loves to beat me, so I don't know. That's why he likes
she's
to play
getting
chess,
better.
because
She's
he
getting
knows
so
he's
much
really
better.
good. And then above our chess and side table, which I actually think this is a great example too of like both of our energies coming into the space because it's functional but also beautiful. You can play with it.
The
It's a
Dame Moore
conversation
right
piece.
overhead.
And then we have our Dame Moore piece. We have a couple of pieces by this artist in our space, but it just has so much personality and like fun energy that it adds to this room, along with a lot of the shapes. So we have like this really funky lamp in this corner that also kind of plays off of some of the sculpture that we have on our side table that people often will lean onto, rest their drinks on, all the things. As we move into the center of the room, this is actually a Christmas decoration that Tammy hasn't said anything about. So
I love
I'm
it.
keeping
Yeah, no, do your thing.
Okay,
It's
good.
actually beautiful.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm so glad we could come. I waited to breach it during this video. So
Just so many things you can choose from. Let's start at the bottom. We recently visited the Alvin Ailey exhibit at the Whitney Museum.
yeah.
Wow.
Blew our minds.
So good.
Obsessed.
What an exhibit.
And I told Tammy I'm leaving here with something. Every time we leave a museum, I need a book to add to our collection.
And that's how you know it's a good exhibit, when you're
Yeah.
touched to the point that you want to take some of it home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we ended up doing that. And then we have some prints from some of our
Favorite
good
artists
friends,
and great friends. So we knew that it was important for us to create and collect and curate Black art in our home that was of creators who are still alive so that we can give them their flowers now.
Clennon, we have Tayo Kuku Jr.
We have Dante Maurice and Ahmad Barber for Black Fashion Fair.
We
Just
have
a really
Jordan
striking
Blake.
piece.
Yeah.
Jordan Blake with our friend CJ in it. I think these pieces just add so much storytelling to the space.
Yeah.
Like such great texture and I don't know. There's just so much about it that adds to what we have going on here.
And you feel the skill in what they do and the intention as well. They're
Absolutely.
all legendary photographers.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see what they continue to build from here.
For sure. And then of course I have to shout her out again, Maya Beverly. This piece by Maya is also a brilliant piece. She just does a really good job of capturing the essence of like a feeling in her pieces. And I think this really just grounds the media cabinet in a really great way. This is actually from Target, and then I painted it because I love to give things new life. So we have a mix of a lot of new pieces and vintage pieces. For instance, this bowl, which we thrifted, that again, I'm just a texture girl. I love anything that adds a little flavor to the space.
So what we're wearing today, I have a thrifted bowed top from 2nd Street. I have jeans from Honor the Gift, Russell Westbrook's band, big OKC fan, so only natural.
Loves to put on, yeah.
I have a Larvae watch from Germany.
Which we fought tooth and nail to get a hold of. It was tough.
Had to get it through customs and everything, but well worth it. Aura ring, big about my health. Fossil watch ring.
Simwero,
and
Omi Woods.
Woods.
Yep, such a good balance. And then for me, this is actually a skirt I thrifted while we were in Japan. We have been to Japan 3 times in the last year span alone. We love it there.
We love Japan. It feels like home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spent a lot of money there, and a lot of it is clothes. And then my top is from Febin, also on Essence. I just love how artsy it is. It's like adds so much flavor to my look, and there's so many ruffles and crinkles, and it just is so full of life.
Yeah,
so
it makes you the art that you are.
Oh, period. Gas me up. And then for my rings, I also have Simwero, Greece, New York, which is based here in Brooklyn, as well as Cal, and then some thrifted pieces as well.
What about the earrings?
Oh, and my earrings are from Ferris Jewelry and Justine Clonquet. And my little fur slippers are actually from Steve Madden. How fun are they? You know, she's comfortable. She's chic, but she's comfortable in her home. Yeah, absolutely. So we met on Instagram.
It was
nothing I could have ever imagined would ever happen.
Yeah. It was a warm fall night. You know, I was scrolling.
Not a warm fall night. I love that you have these adjectives ready to go.
I was scrolling and I'm like, no, I'd seen a friend's
reposted me on a trip. Yes.
Yeah, and I was just like, who is this? Like,
he was a ham. And he slid in my DMs and he called me Muse. And that's how you get my attention. I like being called, something beautiful. So when I saw him in my DMs, I was like, who's this handsome man? We went back and forth. We started to share our love for like music and food and, art and
culture.
Yeah, I think the reason he ended up really snagging me is because he made me a playlist. Within the first 5 minutes of us going back and forth, he was like, I'm gonna make you a playlist. And it was curated and had my name at the top. And I was like, who do you do this for? Is this just me? Or am I special? I convinced him to move to New York. He thought I was gonna move back to Atlanta with him.
We were long distance for a year.
Absolutely.
And so then I moved from DC to Atlanta because I was like, I'm convinced her to come back to Atlanta with me.
I don't know what he thought. New York is the city of dreams, baby. I wasn't going anywhere.
I was in New York for a few months and then it was wraps.
Yeah, it was wraps. I just think we found so many beautiful aspects of our relationship in this city together. So it's so easy for us to kind of fall into step. And we've been together for 6.5 years and we're locked in now.
Ready for 7.
Absolutely.
So we love to host. Again,
absolutely.
When friends come over, we want them to feel like they're actually at home. When you come into the space, the first thing you see is our prized possession.
Yeah, our Arnold Butler piece. It was the first piece that the first pieces of art we've ever bought.
Yeah, it was commissioned.
Yeah, we commissioned it from Arnold. He is just a brilliant artist based out of Atlanta. So that was also great to be able to kind of show him love and let him create a piece that would tie the space together. Before we got more moved into the space, we actually hadn't painted the walls. And so we decided to have a piece that could feel like it was filling up the space and adding color. We also have these beautiful chairs by Lulu in Georgia. We knew we wanted to mix and match because, again, balance. So there's chairs here that are more aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, and then the comfy ones.
The nice
so something for Tammy, something for me. Yeah.
These chairs feel like mini couches.
Absolutely.
They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And then for our centerpiece, we actually got this from a studio in Cape Town while we were visiting a designer, Emily for Shelligance.
Yep.
It's just all of her pieces are based off of pieces or shells that you might find when you're walking on the shore.
Yeah, if you ever have the chance to visit Cape Town, swing by her shop. It's amazing, but
brilliant.
Also the property/farm that she lives on is
just
beautiful
gorgeous
as
and
well.
everything I would like to do with my life. But we literally walked in, saw it, and I told Tammy, I need this.
Yeah,
we have
it's
to
gonna
leave with
happen.
this. So we actually paid for this centerpiece. She shipped it in a crate, and we hadn't even moved in yet. We kept it in the crate in our last apartment until we moved here, and it was the first thing that we put out. I mean, once our dining table finally arrived, which Tammy picked this dining table out. Because he loved the shape of it and the design of it.
Yeah, we used to have like a large 8-person cedar dining table, and for this home, it just didn't feel like that was needed with everything being so close to each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And because the space is not properly separated, we wanted to make sure that they still felt distinct.
Yeah, they each had their own
little corner, lush
little
corner. So so we have this 4-seater, so it's super intimate and feels super good. And we set the table because we didn't know if you guys were, gonna stay and have a little something to eat. I don't know. If you're hungry,
bakery.
we have something here for you.
My favorite piece.
The love of his life, outside of me, and Yeah.
So I definitely wanted to make sure that the bar kind of gave an upper echelon hotel kind of vibe to it. So I did a lot of research onto bar carts that kind of upgrade your home, per se. So we actually got this from
Jonathan Adler.
And it's crazy because we're not actually people who drink. Like
we don't drink at home. I'll have a glass of wine. Sometimes we'll have it over dinner, but we don't really drink unless we have friends over, which I know you probably think, that's crazy with all that they have, but we have to keep it fully stocked because we love to have people in our house.
This portion right here, nice to make drinks off, drinks on while people enjoy the living room or the dining space or in the kitchen.
Yeah, it actually really comes in really handy because we need as much surface area as possible when we have people over. So then when we pop this out, we can make a couple of drinks.
Pass it around.
Yeah, put whiskey on the rocks. Is that what the guys do? And then we're good to go. Or the girls, because I heard there's different preferences with what the people like these days. But yeah, I think it's such a great and multifunctional bar cart. And again, a great balance of both of our energy. It's just so beautiful, but then it has so many components to it.
Yeah, it's functional in its use, but it's also functional in its timelessness.
Yeah.
I mean, this will probably be with us for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. Super timeless. And we were thinking about that as we were sourcing items. How can we be intentional? Will this last in any space that we go into? I think our design preferences are maximalist mixed with Japanese flavor mixed with also a lot of modern energy.
Yeah, a lot of Afro energy as well.
Absolutely. So we wanted to make sure that the pieces that we pulled or bought were able to kind of speak to all of those. And then of course the top of the bar cart has a wide variety of options. It is also a little display as well. Yeah.
You got your non-alcoholic, alcoholic.
Yeah. And we also will then wipe this when people come over clean. We'll move everything off, and we'll often do cocktails here or have hors d'oeuvres here or charcuterie. Really depends on the vibe. But there's so much that we get to do with this part of the house. This is little nook that we have.
Yeah, own space.
Absolutely.
And next we have these bar stools from First Dibs. Another one of my many favorite pieces in the house. The seat is small, but it's so comfortable to actually sit in. I love to just sit here, get a bunch of work done for most of the day.
And Tammy thought a lot about how, because I was really big on just getting really cute bar stools, again, that just looked good and felt good. But Tammy actually had read an article about how you can elevate your space by treating your bar area as if you were at an actual bar.
Yep.
And so when we thought about what kind of chairs we wanted, he really landed on a color and a vibe that will reflect that, something that you might actually find at your local neighborhood bar.
It just makes me feel like the kind of bar where I could sit down and get a drink, but also get some work done.
Absolutely.
We work from home so much. So
oh my gosh. So we like to spread out. We really work in every single room. But then also we yap a lot. So when he's cooking breakfast or I'm cooking breakfast, the other person is chilling on the bar stools,
talking it up,
typing or talking away. Yeah. We also have some really great vintage thrifted pieces here, from everything from our cutting boards to these cinnamon and sugar shakers, even these travertine holders. We really love to play around with how we're mixing things into the space so that it feels like it's been lived in, and not everything is brand new. Also, Tammy loves to save his money. I spend the money, but he likes to save it. So it's great to do that because I also love to thrift.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So the way we found this townhouse was we were ready to move out of our last home, and Brooklyn is so competitive nowadays. To really dig in and find what you want, you have to be on Street Easy, Zillow.
Up until odd hours of the morning. Yeah, it was aggressive for a minute because we knew in our last apartment it was just a 2-bedroom and it was not enough space. At a certain point, Tammy was losing his mind because he could not find all his clothes because they were under boxes and bags, and it was
I just started wearing the same thing.
Yeah,
like a rotation
there was no creative expression, and so that was our excuse to get a bigger house. We need to find our clothes. We need to see all our clothes laid out. So we wanted to find a spot that was big enough for the both of us to really feel like we could move around. And then also so that like a backyard, we love to host. So having somewhere where people could really spread out and feel like they're at home
they're
was
in
important.
the area. They just come slide through.
And we knew Bed-Stuy was somewhere we wanted to stay. We've stayed on the cusp of like Bed-Stuy and Bushwick before, but Bed-Stuy we just are in love with, and it's just like the best place ever. Our community's here, so we wanted to find an apartment in the area, and so we were up late. At 1 in the morning.
I had gone to bed.
And I patted him away. I said, get up, it's time to activate. So we literally hit up the owner that night, and we were like, we'll come and see it in the morning. We had our paperwork ready to go.
And
we
they
came
responded.
and they immediately in the morning, they were like, come through, 8 a.m. So we found it at 1 a.m., went to see it at 8 a.m., put our paperwork in by 9 a.m., and we're locked by 10. We were not playing any games with this apartment.
Like, just good to go.
Yeah.
It was really a blessing. Like, at that moment, when we were ready to re-sign at the place we already were, like, this gift of a home came to us. Now the part of the house that has my heart.
Because he loves to eat. That's why it has his heart. Yeah, and I'm not mad at it. It's just such a beautiful space.
Yes.
We wanted to keep it pretty simple in here because we're doing so much in the living room and the dining room. There's a lot of energy and personality to those spaces. And because the kitchen can get very, I think, dirty pretty quickly or just messy really quickly, we didn't want to have too much on the counter space. I think also we were scarred from our last apartment. We had no counter space.
None.
Everything was on the counters. It was a mess. So we were like, no, we need to actually peel it back a bit and keep it really light. So we have a lot of really strong, I think, pieces in here, but that are really subtle. So we have our Christina Martinez piece, as well as another Day Moore piece.
Our good cacti that we've had for about 2 years now.
Yes, and it's been through some things, but we put it in this really beautiful cobalt blue planter to bring some color to the space, along with the stool. My favorite stool that I was telling you guys about, that is just the best. All right, that's the best ever. We just have a lot of lighter pieces. I think this is definitely the more minimal part of our downstairs area.
Minimal, but also brings a level of peace. Has a lot of room to, whether you want to put your laptop, tablet down while you cook a meal.
Just because it's a little bit, it's a beautiful kitchen with space, but it can get tight pretty quickly. When you start to bring the pans out and the cutting boards out, you still want to be able to move around and host. We like for people to be able to come in here and lean around. So
chill.
Yeah, and we learned the hard way what it looks like when you're like stuffing things into the kitchen. But we've been thinking about actually maybe putting a wallpaper or of some sort on this wall to add a little bit of flavor. You'll also see as you move through the kitchen, especially, a lot of pieces that we actually source when we're traveling, because we're not really big into like cheesy souvenirs and knickknacks when we travel. So we'll bring back bowls and cups, because I love cups.
She loves cups so much.
Tammy's tired of the cups, but he actually got me cups for my birthday yesterday, so that was so fun. And so this area, I'm going to give it to Tammy because it's his pride and joy, but we have tea from Portugal and we have Japanese teacups. We really have it, or coffee cups that we have. There's so much, variety to our space over here. And then the star of this corner, which is Tammy's espresso machine.
My Breville espresso machine. So I started actually drinking coffee maybe about 5 years ago. One of our good friends, some of our good friends, Kasim and Chandler, they constantly drank Dunkin' Donuts coffee every morning. And so that was my nice little introduction to coffee. And then I started to dibble and dabble in it and found some that I really like. So I really love Blue Bottle Coffee espresso beans. I do the decaf for Skylar because she's not really a caffeine fiend like that. Yeah. But yeah, I just really have come to love the process. It's kind of part of my morning routine. Get up in the morning, stretch, come down, take my time making a nice cup of espresso, sometimes mixing in some milk. We love Chobani creamer right now. That's definitely our go-to. But yeah, this is just a nice way for me to de-stress or just kind of wake up my body and my mind before getting our day started.
And we start our day outside of journaling in the dining room. We will often come straight to the kitchen. He gets his coffee, I get my tea, which we have a large array of, and we'll just like chill in here. I think that's also why we kept it really light in here, because there's so much light and we just wanted it to feel like beautiful and airy and calming in this space, as opposed to like an onslaught for your senses.
It's a really beautiful way to wake up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We also have just knickknacks throughout the space. These beautiful measuring cups. We get a lot of pieces from Etsy, so you'll see. I'll try to call them out, but these we got from Etsy, and I'm such a fan because they're just so beautiful. And we have serving spoons that are also in this same design. Again, different thrifted cutting boards and bowls, just things that like I'll see and make me feel good. So I'm like, we need it in the kitchen.
Yeah, we keep this Japanese hand fan
in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. It's nice to just see, and I remember the exact moment we got it. It's just nice to see like small reminders of where we've traveled to and where we've been, and the memories associated with it.
Absolutely, and I think that it's so cool because then immediately you're taken back to that space and kind of transported in a really cool way.
Yeah. When it comes to our home, we make sure to sprinkle plants and living things throughout it. Outside of Momo, it just kind of adds to the life of the building.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps it breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we're living in a museum.
Right, exactly. And it just adds so much, I think like, it adds so much ambiance to a room. And I feel like especially with the florals that we choose, we work with a florist, especially for these florals, Olive florals, and she chooses artsy florals that are reflective of the decor that we have in our home. And then the plants that we have, which are, we've really tried to keep alive and keep going.
Snake plants, money plants,
cacti. It's all just really,
it
just adds again another layer to the space that's been really fun to play with.
And if you have a plant, there's no better feeling than
keeping it alive.
And
seeing it flourish,
seeing it flourish and seeing it grow over time.
And I will say, in this home, our plants have flourished the most. We've seen them grow in ways unimaginable, especially with our banana tree plant in the. Is it a banana tree plant?
The Birds of Paradise.
Goodness gracious.
With our Birds of Paradise, we've seen it grow for sure. It was about yay big when we first got it, and now it towers over me.
Absolutely.
And you'll see it upstairs. We have a Ficus Audrey that was shocked when it came into the house.
Yeah.
The leaves were falling. It was almost branch or leafless.
I said, same sis, but then we filled up the space and then she got right. And so did I. It was like, it's a good balance. So yeah, it's been really cool to bring a lot of plants into space. And actually we got a little carried away at some point, but the fun part about this home is there's many rooms that we can shove them all into. And they're right in front of big, beautiful windows that kind of let all that light in to keep them alive. Yeah.
Well, this is our wall of souvenirs.
That actually is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad we have a name now. When we moved in, we were like, what are we going to do with this space? And I like for things to just look beautiful so that when you're looking around, you're taking everything in. So we actually decided to cram all of these beautiful pieces from all over the world into this space. So we have another Maya Beverly piece, this beautiful little face that she actually gifted us when we bought her other two pieces for our living room space, which was really sweet. And then it just adds such a little face to the space. Yeah. And speaking of little faces, we also have these beautiful bowls from Mexico City that they were tough to get because Tammy thought they were a little scary looking, but I think they're so precious. Look at their little scrunched up faces.
I'm not trying to have something look back at me.
It's me with an attitude, so I understand why he has an aversion.
We have these bottles of wine from Portugal, our second home. We love Portugal so much. I don't remember the exact name of the cafe we were at, but we had these glasses and we were like, please, can we go home with 2 bottles?
Absolutely.
Here at the bottom, some of my favorite cups from Japan.
We got these while they're vintage pieces that we got from a store called Vase along the Maguri River.
Yep.
And in Tokyo. And they just had a wide selection of glasses that were all handmade by the shop. And it was just gorgeous. We knew we had to leave with a few, and there are such great conversation pieces. But then if you want a little glass of wine, they're really great for that too. Much. Absolutely.
We also have some more glasses from Sophie Lou here.
I mean, and then thrifted pieces. Yeah. So we actually found these in Brooklyn. Down the street, there was a church that used to be it always had a big antique sale. If you've lived in Brooklyn for long enough, you know about it. It recently actually closed down, which I'm really sad about, because the guy who sold the pieces for the church actually went to estate sales upstate and then would bring them back on a truck and sell it here, which is just like my heaven. So I got so many great pieces, and I remember sending a picture of these to Tammy and going, we need these, right? And he never says no. He's always like, absolutely, of course we do. And then at the very, very top, we have champagne glasses from Soho Home. We love Soho Home's overall aesthetic, and how they use texture and color and all the things to layer a space. So we figured, why not get some beautiful glasses from them as well? And we've actually only broken these out maybe once or twice, so we need to use these more, actually. This is a great excuse. We'll probably pop a bottle after this. What are you thinking?
I'm liking that.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
When it comes to the design layout of our home, we have a total of 4 levels. We have our living room, kitchen, bathrooms, of course. We have our vinyl room, bedroom. We have a content room, a guest bedroom.
We have a basement, which was just a heaven send because it has storage, and we had no storage in our last apartment. Oh my gosh, no one talks about how in New York City you will find a beautiful apartment, but there will be no closets, or there will be no space.
Or you'll have to bring your own, you bring your own dresser.
Oh my gosh, we can't go back now. And then we also have a backyard, a beautiful backyard with a patio that goes down to a lower level where we have grass for Momo to run around in. When it came to filling up the space, we knew we wanted we wanted people to be able to flow room to room. I'm really big into feng shui, into how energy moves through a space,
and how a room makes you feel.
And how it makes you feel. And we wanted people to feel like our home was an extension of us, of our energy. And we like to think we're warm and welcoming. How are y'all feeling right now? I don't know. Let us know. So we were talking about, okay, well, how can we play, and how can we bring a lot of like maximalist, heavy texture, color, like modern, but then also a lot of Japanese inspired design. There's like no rules. There's no rules with our space. It was just whatever feels good.
How do we make things, not only beautiful, but also functional as well?
Absolutely. It's meant to be like a retreat for the creative spirit. And so both for us, so that when we come home from working or shooting or traveling, we're excited to come home. But then also for when people come into our home, they feel like, oh, I've been here before, or this feels really familiar.
Like we want it to feel like a home away from home, but also, I guess, with the upkeep of a hotel almost.
We talk a lot about how Tammy loves functionality, and then I love aesthetic and design. So we always have to compromise with the pieces that we've selected for every room, and you guys will see that as we move from room to room, how we are really intentional about something looking beautiful, but then also feeling comfortable or making sense.
Yeah, that's why we have this couch and there's not a hole in the ground right
Absolutely.
You wanted a conversation pin?
Yes, well, we couldn't get a conversation pin, so what makes sense? And so there's so many things that it was definitely a back and forth conversation. There's a lot of masculine and feminine energy in the space because we wanted to make sure both of us were represented, and then just colors that make you feel good and evoke a lot of inspiration, so that when we look around our space, we can feel like we're getting inspired and able to create beautiful work. Okay, so then tucked off into this nook.
Imagine it's a party, nice little barbecue.
Yeah, you're having a good time. You need to dip off to go to the bathroom, and then you ask us, oh, where's the bathroom? Well, come follow me, it's over here. And so we decided to actually create a really cozy bathroom because it's so small. We wanted to bring in really warm, welcoming walls. So we got this paint from Backdrop to match our Uzo art piece. Uzo Njoku is a brilliant artist. Tammy loved this piece because it feels like how our space feels when we host people. We have in this corner, because it was so bare bones, we actually changed the mirror and then added in, of course, the Loewe body lotion and tomato leaves liquid soap. It's a fan favorite. People love for their hands to smell like tomato leaves, which we didn't know would be such a, people would rave in that way. And then we also added a skirt to the bottom of the sink to cover up the bottom, to kind of give it some added, personality and make it feel a little bit cozier in here, which we love, absolutely. We have our bedroom, which is
where we start our day and end our days.
Oh my gosh, and it's my favorite place ever. This is I told Tammy, this is the best bedroom I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean, starting off with the CB2 bed frame.
Absolutely. It's our first king bed. We had a queen in our last apartment.
Yeah.
Again, a very small apartment.
Yeah. Once you have a king size bed.
Yeah, you don't ever want to go back. You never want to go back. So we wanted to keep it really minimal in here. There's a lot of Japanese influence in this space as well, with how light we kept it. The biggest actually focal point of this room outside of the bed, I'd say, is the walls.
Yeah, the lime wash on the walls.
Yeah.
It took a few attempts to get it exactly to where we wanted it to be, but the zen in the room, like
feels
when you
so
walk
good.
in, it feels so good.
And we knew we wanted to not only do the walls, but the ceiling, so it feels really immersive. So the lime wash, because it looks like clouds, also feels like at night when you're looking up, a little sky in and of itself. The paint is actually from Portola Paints. They have a really great lime wash, and I was so excited to try it. It did take us a few times until we got it right, but we did get it right. Yeah. And we knew for the bed, we wanted it to feel like a hotel bed.
Yeah, that's why I'll tell you. You go ahead and tell your secret for the comforter.
Oh yes, I do a double comforter. Now for my heavy and hot sleepers, I understand that might feel like a lot, but we just kind of coordinate depending on the season. We wanted it to feel really lush because we travel so much and we're always in a hotel bed, and it would suck to leave a hotel bed and not want to go home to your regular bed. Yeah. Yeah.
The best thing about some hotels out there are the options to choose between anywhere between 3 to 10 different kinds of pillows. So on each side of our beds, we have 3 different kinds of pillows depending on how we feel like sleeping.
Absolutely. The more, the merrier. We love pillows. And then they're also a wide variety. So we have a softer and firmer pillow. Again, just so that we feel like we're somewhere really nice and lush.
Like that bed, I think it's Serrata. I think it's a Serrata bed.
Oh, right. Tammy chose the mattress. Because of the two of us, I think he's the pickier sleeper, which I can respect, because it means that no matter what he chooses, I will be comfortable.
Because I run hot, so I needed a bed that would kind of keep me cool.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's that.
And so we have the bed as a really cozy piece, but then also this entryway, or not entryway, but this bench here, our fuzzy bench that we actually use as kind of a bottom portion to our projector. So we don't have a TV in here, as you can tell, but we have a sneaky little projector that we put out at night or when we're wanting to watch a movie. We're really big on not having a lot of tech so close to us while we're sleeping. So Momo, come say hello to the people. So we have this kind of area clear. We were gonna put art here, but we left it empty so that we could have the projector here. And then we also have this beautiful rug from West Elm that is just really warm and inviting.
It's
it added
thick
such
as you walk on it,
it's
and it's
like,
just really, really
it
nice.
just feels so good on your feet, which I love. This area is great because it acts as storage. We do have a closet, but we knew we needed more space. We have a lot of clothes, y'all, tons of clothes. This dresser is actually from Urban Outfitters. We found it and it just felt timeless for us. We wanted something that we knew we could move into any room as we moved
perfectly into this space, like
it was almost like uncanny.
Yeah.
And then the centerpiece here is this Noemi Marguerite piece. She's also a good friend of ours. This is not a wedding we went to or our wedding. It is just a beautiful snapshot of life. And I think having that in this very zen space feels like the right amount of energy.
Yeah, the way the image is shot, it feels like you are there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we also have another great Black artist, Hill and Daniel fragrances. For the room, we also have Malin and Getz, so we kind of play around with what scent we want in the room. I'm a big candle and incense girly.
She is. My mom actually got her like a Malin and Getz candle box set a few years ago for Christmas.
A woman after my own heart.
After that, she never turned back.
I never turned back. And then we also have, which is really important to us, we don't have a lot of heirlooms that we were given, so we've started to kind of collect our own, and this has kind of become one, I feel like.
Yeah, this was at our old apartment. We got some...
Can you guess what it is? Whose hands these are?
Yeah, so we actually got a little...
casting kit.
Yeah, casting kit, and it was a little date night at the house where we spent our time holding each other's hands in some
in a
plaster.
really soft and intimate way. And it was meant to be a jewelry holder, actually. We wanted it to, again, be functional and beautiful. But now it's just like a really sweet portion of this space, along with, of course, our jewelry box, this beautiful plant, and this pot I love so much because it adds a lot of great texture to this area. We kept it really cute though because we didn't want it to feel too busy in here. It's where we relax.
And then we have the diva of the show, our ficus Audrey plant. We knew we wanted a tree. We have the queen, our ficus Audrey plant.
Yeah, she's almost as much of a drama queen as I am, I'd say.
We knew we wanted a tree in the room, and when we were looking at different trees that we could go for, the ficus Audrey was the closest thing to being a tree that wasn't actually a tree. She's extremely temperamental, so sun, watering, like,
I get it. I get it, sister.
Two peas in a pod.
Absolutely, we are. And Tammy knows how to take care of both of us. That's what it's all about. But again, we wanted something that added some life to the space. We didn't want to do too much. It's just really a great place for us to chill out, and it's really reflective, I think, in the colors and the vibe that we've brought into this room.
Yeah.
So because we were kind of going for a hotel vibe in this room, we also, beyond the bed, decided to keep it pretty neutral for the side tables. These are also from Urban Outfitters, and we sourced these lamps to kind of balance it. These are some Japanese lamps that we brought in, but we wanted it to we both have our sides. We have, this is my side, that's Tammy's side, but they're pretty inconspicuous. You really can't tell whose is whose, which is kind of fun when everything's all, cleaned up. So on either side of the bed as well, we both love to read, and that's usually how we end our nights. Outside of journaling, I would say. So we have on my end my creativity book. I literally have been trying to read this forever. It's called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I've been trying to get through it for a while now. Tammy and I have both been taking cracks at this book. And then on Tammy's side, he has...
Yeah, I am not a nonfiction lover. It takes time for me to get through those books, but I can finish like a 600-page fantasy novel in 2 days. But I have The Age of Ideas, but then I also have the Kindle. We're bringing the Kindle back. I love just how light it is, how I'm able to store literally my whole library in here. Outside of this book, I'm also reading Fourth Wing. When it comes to how we work with one another, especially when it came to filling up this home, I think there was more conceding on my part.
I was going to say the same thing. Tammy adores me. So he actually lets me get away with havoc. Yeah. I'm also obsessed with interior design. So he knows that this is my dream is to be able to do this on the side or even for friends and family. So there were definitely design decisions I made that I was like, hey, choose between these two decisions, so that he could feel very involved. But then, the decision had been made. Either way, I'm very, very happy. Now, there have been some things that we've sprinkled into the space that he has loved. You'll see in the office, he has his Akira book set. That was a no-brainer. It's a love of his and something that made sense. But that I was like, oh, wouldn't be my first choice, but it's my man. He wants to do it.
Yeah. But that's like a happy medium.
Absolutely.
That's very striking.
There's
that we both love.
Yeah, exactly. There's pieces in the space that I feel like we were like, yes.
The
easily.
art,
our art.
But also it's like, you get the furniture, I get the technology.
Absolutely. So that was actually the thing that I said, it doesn't matter. We have a Samsung frame TV, and so that was my only thing. My only thing I was like, okay, I need this
but
for
outside
the house.
Of speakers through the house, Alexa throughout the building, smart house. Literally, we're taking it back to Disney Channel.
Security, it's all Tammy. I said, you've got it. I trust you with all that. Also, he stays up to date on that. When it comes to when we shoot, Tammy takes care of the tech, so I said there should be no difference in our house. Just teach me how to do it. And then when it comes to me, I'm really big on buying tons of books, tons of just like beautiful, striking pieces that when Tammy sees them, he's like, what is that? And like, what does it do? And I'm like, that's the point. It doesn't really do anything. It's just like vibes. There are pieces that I think you can tell are a beautiful marriage between what we love, and then pieces that are definitely more reflective of myself versus him. But it's really cool to have both because then it balances the space really well. I think that every piece that has ended up in the space has been super intentional. So So we have here our beautiful bathroom space, another really minimal, light and airy part of the house. Again, it can get messy very quickly, so we've kept it pretty light. And because it's an apartment, we haven't been able to really deconstruct and reconstruct in the way we'd like to, so we've made it warm where we're able. We have his and hers sinks. We have these beautiful red lush rugs that help warm up the space a little bit, especially because we have these more gray kind of walls and floors. On Tammy's side, he has, well, actually we both have it. It's pretty similar, but we have the Tekla towels and the Aesop hand balm and hand wash, which we swear by. And then my favorite portion, and Tammy's too, I feel like you love the bathtub. Yeah.
Well, actually, I would say my favorite portion would be the walk-in shower because it doubles as a steam room. So after a workout, I'll go ahead, call Skylar, get the steam room ready. So as soon as I walk through the door.
Absolutely. And then likewise, when I want to take a bath, I call Tammy and say, get the bath running. And then I have this. And so we have this great thrifted tabletop here that we use, you know, if I'm working and I'm in the tub, or if I just want a glass of wine and I want to read. A lot of these pieces are also thrifted as well, and it just feels really homey and vintage. On this side of the area, we also have a dresser. Again, the more the merrier when it comes to storage. So on this side of the room, we also have another opportunity for tons of storage. We have a focal piece by Courtney Heron. It just made sense that this piece would go in the bathroom because it literally is the vibe in here. And then just smaller pieces to keep it really soft and warm. Our Able Room spray, some candles, a beautiful vase that we also have in the kitchen.
We have this,
and then the tech, of course.
Yep, this Bang & Olufsen speaker. Very aesthetically pleasing, easy to carry.
But then it just looks like a piece of like art almost.
And it fills the space like sound-wise beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear it in the shower, in the steam room, all the things. It's really, really fun. So yeah, this place, I mean, I feel like this part of our home is really light, and because we make an absolute hurricane when we're getting dressed, a tornado of a mess, we keep our bathroom and our bedroom really light and really cute. Doing out there? Come on. We got some more house to see. So this is the vinyl room.
Yes.
This is just like creme de la creme.
Best room in the house.
I mean, damn near. It is just brilliant. And I mean, if we do say so ourselves, we put a lot of thought into this room because we actually wanted it to feel completely different from the other rooms in the house. And I think it does. We have these cobalt blue walls, also from Backdrop.
Art from Fritz
von Erich. Yeah, and I think we actually allowed the art to guide a lot of the decisions we made in this space. We wanted it to feel like you're almost on a funky spaceship listening to like,
you know what it reminds me of? That episode of Love, Death and Robots.
Absolutely.
Zima Blue, I think.
Absolutely. It's just like so lush. All the colors are rich. And so we wanted to bring in a lot of reds, greens, blues, a lot of primary colors to make this feel like a visually pleasing space.
Yep.
So we have in this section a good mix. The entire room really is a good mix of both music and books because we have tons of books both here and in our office and in our content room.
Yeah, when we travel, we love to collect different countries' jazz. So we have a lot of different kind of jazz vinyls here, a lot of Japanese jazz vinyls. One of my favorite things is the now spinning sign, courtesy of Skylar.
Absolutely. We got that off Etsy. Right now we have playing Grover Washington Jr. I'm a big Motown jazz fan. I just love jazz, and we usually start our day with jazz. Beyond Robert Glasper playing downstairs, we'll often have something playing up here for a vibe. And also during parties, if people want to deck away, this is a really fun room to come to. We have our Crossley player. It does the job. We do want to upgrade at a certain point, but we've had this for a while now, and it's just so beautiful that we've not wanted to get rid of it. And then we also have, again, records that we've collected over time from friends, from travels, and then books, of course, reflective of our travels as well.
We have 2 pseudo libraries. This is one of them.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask, why do we put the backs of the book facing the wall? And honestly, because
It's just
we
a
want
vibe.
to.
Yeah. It's just because it looks good. There's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
We've read the books that are backwards, so that does help because we are not looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fret. But also, it's just fun. We didn't want the colors to be too overwhelming when people came into the space. So we've actually kept a lot of our Black authors facing, frontwards facing, and then a lot of the books that we've read from fiction books backwards facing. And it's just cool to add a little flavor in that way.
I'll leave you all with a recommendation. If you haven't read this as a youth,
One of Tammy's favorite books.
go ahead and lock in. The Kite Runner is one of the ones.
Well, when we moved in, I feel like we saw this room and we knew that it was likely going to be, it was being posed as an office. It was also mentioned to us, oh, it could be a great place for a child.
Yeah.
And we were like, not yet. So we wanted somewhere that had a piece of our personality. And the two things that we love the most is reading and listening to music.
Yeah.
And often when we read, we listen to music. So we wanted a place that felt like a vibe, almost like a little, almost like an event space in a way.
We had so many vinyls and it was constantly growing, but we had nowhere really to put them outside of underneath the media cabinet you saw downstairs, and it just didn't feel right.
No, yeah, it was almost limiting them. So we were like, let's give the vinyls a place to play and to kind of spread out. This is also somewhere that we come to just like ideate, to get a lot of creative inspiration. We get so much inspiration from the books we read and from the music we listen to, and also from the magazines we read. We were able to add these gorgeous acrylic orange magazine racks with just beautiful pieces. I mean, we have a Japanese magazine that we got while we were there in Tokyo.
We got this one from Japan too.
Absolutely, for Jean-Michel Basquiat, made in Japan. Focus magazine, which is a Black-owned magazine, as well as Curves. And I mean, speaking of Curves, this gorgeous Sean Brown, Curves by Sean Brown rug that literally reflects the space and also tied into Fritz von Erich pieces. So much of the pieces in this space are also
having
in conversation. With each other. Yeah,
all
we're
right.
locked in. We know the things. And then of course a display had to happen with our vinyls. We wanted people to be able to come in and see some of our favorites. And so we've got The Roots. No brainer. Nas, like Jungle. There's just like, we want to also show off our taste in music in a fun way.
We need to add some more so people can really see.
Well, we often swap them out, so that helps like keep it fresh, and it's really depending on how we feel that month, and we'll switch up the wall.
Yeah.
And it also is like art in and of itself on the wall, because I feel like artists put so much love into the vinyl covers that they create that we wanted them to be out as well.
So creation looks very different for both of us in our journey to get there. We've both been creating in different ways. I used to DJ, Sky used to own a clothing company.
Yes, wow, we've come so far.
So far.
Blast from the past.
After school, I started working at Microsoft.
Yep, I started working at BuzzFeed.
Yeah, the 9 to 5 really put my creative blinders on to where I wasn't seeing creativity as much.
Whereas I would say because I was at Parsons for school, I was always kind of had a foot in the creative world. So when we met, I remember going, I remember he told me he was really big into photography, or you just picked up a camera.
Literally had just picked up a camera.
He just picked up a camera, and I remember just wanting to bring that energy out of him, because I think it's such a great balance to have both a corporate and creative side, because you get a little bit of a mix of both.
Best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
And it was crazy because when we started content creation together, we didn't even mean to do that. I booked a trip for Puerto Rico for her birthday.
And I told him, hey, I know I'm a part of this world of social media and content creation, and you signed up for me, not this, so you don't have to be a part of this.
Yeah, and I was cool. I'm cool to just take some pics right now.
Yeah, and I said, but if you want to take some pictures of me, that's cute. I love that. It was heaven sent.
Because photography started off as a hobby.
Absolutely. And I mean, same for content creation. I started it so that, it was really to push into my clothing brand at the time. Not because I really wanted to build a platform for myself, but I think it started to resonate so much with people. You have to kind of listen to your audience and give them what they want. So I leaned into it more.
And the organic growth was the most fun. We were just taking pictures of any and everything. We would go on vacation and
share our experience.
Pictures we would do anyways to send to our parents. We just posted it online, and it just continued to grow and go from there.
And we thought about how can we make our experience accessible to other people who look like us, and that's really what made our content and our platform kind of skyrocket, and it enabled, empowered us really to create an entire platform off of sharing how we see the world with people. And I think that's now evolved into what we do now.
Yeah, because I think we both love the world outside of the world we live in.
Yeah, wow. Nice.
Yeah, like I've loved TV since I was a kid. I've loved anime. I've loved
we're
fantasy
nerds.
fiction.
We're
We are
nerds,
nerds. Like
yeah.
when it comes to reading, did you have accelerated reader?
Absolutely,
in school?
I was locked
yeah,
in.
Man.
Yeah.
Accelerated reader, Six Flags, Pizza Hut.
I was getting
little
all the
So,
signatures for
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
We love to read, like get lost in like
In different
600,
worlds,
800 page books.
Because we love stories so much, integrating that into our process was the most important thing. And we also found it differentiated us from other creators, and then allowed us a seat at the table with a lot of brands because they were wanting us to come in on the conversation, like get in on the conversation and share our 2 cents as like consultants or creative directors. So it's been really cool to be able to, what we kind of see is taking the mundane or just life and seeing the beauty of it. My Instagram bio is dedicated to the art of living because so much of life should be documented and shown in a beautiful way. And I think our content has been able to do that in a way that resonates with people.
Yeah, I think also the great part about it is it can be very, time consuming to do this.
Yes,
but
we put a lot of effort into what we do.
Again, 2 sides of the same coin. We're so good at what we do at this point, and we're so streamlined that I feel like what could take 5 hours might take an hour and a half for us.
Yeah.
Which allows us to really, one, live in the moment, but also put the cameras away.
Absolutely. So under this beautiful skylight that we have coming onto the 4th floor, we have this gorgeous piece by Phoenix Palms. We did a collaboration with Etsy, and it was really important for me to pull at least one Black-owned piece. And so Phoenix Palms has a lot of Black pieces that they sell, and this one was just so striking. We were like, no, we absolutely need this. The red is so good on this wall.
Yeah, and almost as striking as the painting itself is this candle from Maison Africanist, Tam Tam.
Yeah, we have a few of their candles in our home.
Smells so good.
Just like really the beautiful minimal design, but then they really smell great. And then this, of course, floating shelf. We wanted there to be pieces that connect each space. And so these do really well of bringing people upstairs and into the final 2 rooms on this tour. So here we have our office space. She's cute.
She's nice.
She's minimal. We knew we wanted it to keep it cute because we just come in here to get stuff done, and we've not actually built it out very much. We have some work to do.
Yeah, we definitely have work to do in here.
Yeah, but we still wanted to show y'all because that's like the real stuff, isn't it? When you're not finished moving in.
Yeah, this whole area itself is stunning.
Yeah.
I know that when you sit down, one of the first things you see is this 6-piece Akira set. We got it out in Japan. It's all actually in Japanese.
Yeah, which is really, really dope.
Spoiler alert, if you plan to watch the movie. But yeah, it's all in Japanese. But if you've seen the movie enough times as I have, you already kind of know and have an idea of what you're reading as you go.
And it was more so about like having almost like a collector's item of like the 6 set series was so cool. I don't even think the owner of the bookshop wanted to let it go, or it was almost like a concept space. And he saw how much Tammy loved Akira, and he was like, absolutely, take it. So we were able to leave with it. And then we also have just like little pieces that make us happy. This analog clock that Tammy got to that is just so beautiful and adds so much cool energy to this little desk space. And then of course our Instax Mini 40, because we're always capturing all the moments. We're always getting the film moments. Absolutely.
Yep. We have our brain bank
by Danye Taylor, a good friend of ours.
Also, we have our Cape Town book and Lagos Daniel Obasi book from our friend Carl Shakur. It was a actual gift for our housewarming. So beautiful. I'm sorry, you all need to see my homeland.
And then we lost the frame for it, but that's life. We're gonna get a new one, but we had to keep it up. This piece by Jeremy Mitchell, another friend of ours, who knows how much we love Japan and gifted us this print of his for our housewarming. So shout out to you, Jeremy. We appreciate you so much. We thrifted this little desk cabinet area from Bedford Galleries, which is right here in Brooklyn, and it's just a great space to get some really great antique pieces. And again, we kept it simple in here because there's so much going on downstairs. We were like, the more you move up, we wanted to keep it light. finally, which I think I'm so proud of, because in our last apartment we didn't have this, a second bedroom for guests. So this is our guest bedroom. It is a little slice of heaven. We wanted to keep it really warm and minimal and just super cozy.
Yeah, people love it here. People really love it here. We'll have friends come over
and they do not want to leave.
It'll
this
be
bed.
like 3 p.m. and we're like, hey, where's such and such at?
Absolutely,
in that bed.
So we tend to change the color of the setup based on the season so that people really feel at home. We have in this corner another thrifted vintage side table that just adds a lot of warmth to the space. And on top is Black is Beautiful by Kwame Braithwaite. Such a great book. And we wanted to bring up some of our coffee table books from downstairs so they have something to read while they're up here as well. And usually before someone comes up, we make sure the bed is done, the lights are on, we'll light a candle, and then everything in the bathroom is fully stocked. It's literally like staying in a hotel. It's the pride of our life, to be quite honest.
We often encourage people, once you're done, to head out, like fully done. Go ahead and help yourself to anything in the bathroom, and then we try to stock it up every time we're done.
Absolutely. And then we've made sure to keep on the bedside, for the people who didn't make it to our housewarming, our La Dolce Casa custom matches that we got for our housewarming. And on the back, you're able to, every time you visit, mark off one of these little wine bottles so that by the time you get all of them marked off, you get a sweet treat from us. No one has brought it back to us, so they need to get on their Zoom, but we keep it for our guests who stay in here, because if you weren't able to make it to the housewarming, you can still get a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That's it. Thank you so much, y'all, for coming. We appreciate you, and it's time for you to leave.
I'm screaming! For me, home is about somewhere that is just safe and a constant. Growing up, I dealt with a lot of anxiety, and my mom, I was surprised when my mom was so eager about me coming up to New York for school, because I was full of anxiety and I figured she'd want me to be up under her. And she was saying, no, we've created a home for you to always come back to, somewhere that is going to be consistent, that you can find solace in, and that will always be there. And I think as we've built our home, that's what I've wanted to create for us, is somewhere that we can return to and feel immediately safe in, where we can kind of like strip back the layers and get really comfortable and feel so deeply at home within ourselves in this space. So I feel like that is what home is to me.
Yeah, for me, home is really a refuge.
Yeah, right.
It's a place where I can continue to grow. I can truly be my 100% authentic self. And then the people that I bring into my home are the people that I can be 100% my authentic self with. Mm-hmm. It's just really my safe space. It's my, space for me to experiment, whether it's with foods, styles, literature. It's a place where, I can really lay myself bare and evolve into the person that I want to be.
Yeah, and I think that we've kind of taken those two definitions of home and brought them together in a way that makes all the sense, so that anyone who steps in here is like, wow, this feels like really, really good.
This feels like my home. Mm-hmm. All right, Homeworthy, it's been fun, but we got to get going.
Absolutely. See ya!
Stay safe.
On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're in Brooklyn, New York, visiting the home of Christine Barbarick. Christine spent 15 years as a co-founder of Refinery 29, helping build it into a global leader in women's content and digital storytelling. In 2022, she launched A Tiny Apartment, a weekly newsletter that invites readers to rethink their space and style, with a focus on secondhand pieces. Christine lives with her family in a vibrant home filled with artwork from her daughter and memorable pieces from different stages of her life. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Christine. Welcome to my home in Brooklyn. Come on in, I'd love to show you around. We are in Brooklyn Heights, which is a historic neighborhood in Brooklyn and in New York. And we have lived here, my partner and I, Kevin, moved in here about 11 years ago. And I really always dreamed of moving to Brooklyn Heights. I mean, even when I lived in Manhattan and I had no money and I lived in a teeny tiny studio. So yes, that's where we are. And you can actually see you can't see it today, but you can see the East River when the leaves start to fall off of the trees in the fall. I would say that my style is really a hybrid of modern things and very nostalgic sort of vintage things. I'm a very sentimental person and I get attached to stories and histories and the whole legacy of a thing, and it really imbues it with a kind of beauty that's so hard to describe, and all I can say is that I know it when I see it. And so it's balancing that with a lot of clean lines, simplicity, the roots of modernism, and using really simple basic materials, but adding all these beautiful textures and artisanal kinds of patterns and artworks to the mix. So it's kind of a balance of both. Welcome to my living room. Because we live in a pretty small apartment, it's 750 square feet. Our living room is kind of like our whole apartment, or really the sort of main central hub of where we live, where we hang out, where we eat. It's connected to our dining area. And we have this really huge industrial skylight, which was one of the reasons why I fell in love with this apartment when we found it. When we came to the open house, it was actually covered with shade and you couldn't see it during the open house. And I asked if they could move the shade so I could see it, and instantly fell in love with all of the natural light. And it fades everything, so be warned, when you love natural light, it really does do a tune on your fabrics and textiles. I mean, look at how much this is faded, but we love it so much. Our sofa's from Montauk. And it's really just a mix of art and different textiles and vintage things. Like this table was thrifted, that little table in the corner. My daughter loves to read and sit underneath the stairs. We built these stairs to go up to what used to be a storage loft, and we turned it into a really, really tiny office. And it works really great for my husband and I, who both work from home. He's an architect and I'm a writer. These two pieces are from an artist named Allison Fox. She lives in California, and I love her work so much. This is a painting by Ryan Hicksenbaugh. He's a New York painter and a New York artist. That's a Noguchi lamp. This is a sculpture my friend Rebecca gave me. Her mom was a sculptor, and that was part of her collection. She used to be my boss when I was an editor at Gourmet magazine, and she gave that to me from her mother's collection. This was found at a sidewalk tag sale. This was found at a flea market. This is my friend Rebecca's mother's. Her name was Toba, and she was a potter. This is a collage that I made a long time ago. These are photographs that my daughter took. And then this is a really great story. I love finding things on the street, not to keep for myself sometimes, but I like to document it and talk about it on social media, and just so people keep their eyes open when they're out walking and commuting. You don't have to take everything, but to appreciate things that have been discarded is really special to me. And I found this lamp on the sidewalk. It's by Dennis Vibert, Vibert, from Maine, and he was a ceramicist, and he made these really beautiful lamps, and it totally works. And I had to get a new shade for it, but I think it's beautiful. And it's pretty rare, so yeah, I think it's really special. This is a great story. This is actually a vintage file cabinet. I had originally bought it at an antique store in Rochester. It was really cheap, for my husband for his studio someday, and we loved it so much. And so I keep a lot of barware in here. I love that it's really industrial, but it's also really practical. Keep some favorite books here. I like to make sure that there's a lot of books around, that in case my daughter wants to grab one and look through it. And we just keep some of our bar stuff here, and it's just a nice anchoring focal point in our apartment. Again, because it's small, it sort of became this unified space that kind of captures the whole style of the apartment. I love this so much. This is a vintage Serigraph, I believe, by an artist named Alan Darkangelo. And you can see it's numbered 16 out of 30, 1965. I found it for $10 in a thrift store like 30 years ago when I was really young and I had no money. I just saw it and I thought it was beautiful. It was in an old cruddy frame and I had it reframed. And he was a really important pop artist and I just love it so much. And for some reason, even because of what I just said about how much things fade in this apartment, this is not faded, but I think it's just beautiful. And I love seeing it every day when I come and go from our apartment. My daughter loves making art. I think she really shares my appreciation for ephemera. And so whenever we do things, like this is from an exhibition from a long time ago at the Costume Institute, whenever she makes a piece of art, like I loved this strange collage that she made. I just thought it was beautiful. This is a card that was sent to us by friends of ours, and I don't know, it's just always changing, and I think it's really almost like a piece of collage in itself. People really love it when they come over and they see it. It's a little bit crazy, but I think it's beautiful. I did a story in my newsletter, which again is called A Tiny Apartment, about how to create like a little library. I think sometimes bookshelves can be really, it's almost like they become invisible because they're so packed with stuff and books, and I just wanted it to feel a little bit like a display case, but also a place where I could find my favorite books. We still have a lot of books upstairs in the loft, but these are kind of the ones that I reference a lot. It has a lot of found objects. This is also a piece of really, really old pottery that I found on a sidewalk not too long ago. And I found this on the sidewalk too, which I think is really beautiful. Look how pretty that is. Like no chips or anything. And somebody just put it out for the trash. So it's just a place to collect really special things, and we have some family photographs here. These are chase chrome candlesticks from probably the 70s, and I love them. So this painting is really special. I'm gonna take it out, and it's by Toshihisa Yoda, and the Yoda family are a son, the mother, and the father, and this is Toshihisa's, and they live in Soho, and they're all artists, and they're all working artists, and their work is magnificent. Each of them does a very, very different kind of style, but there's a painting by Yuko, she's the mother, and his that I really want to add to my collection. I just think they're incredible. And they're the family of Yoda artists. The other thing that I think is fun is like this. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I love like when you get something shipped to you and it comes with like weird cardboard that's like sculpted sometimes, and sometimes I keep them because I just think they look beautiful and maybe someday I'll paint them. And it doesn't look like a cassette, like an old, I mean, maybe I'm too old or people are gonna be too young, they won't know what that is, but I just love them and I think they're really beautiful. And I like that my daughter can appreciate just like ordinary household things and look at them in an artful way. I think that kind of appreciation is really important. At least it is to me. My friend Liz is obsessed with this hack. It was not intended to be a hack. This is a scrap of Block Shop Textiles it's two sisters that own Block Shop Textiles in Los Angeles. I love their work so much. You know, we do love to watch TV as a family, and you know, I think it's really important to have that touchstone, but I don't want to see it every day, so we just like cover it with, you know, a piece of fabric. But I have lots of fabrics. I'm always like changing out art too. So like you can see actually there's like a bunch of textiles and different things here. So I might like cover it with this textile, or I have another one here. These are like, so I'm always like changing things around. I like to have lots of different kind of objects and sort of visuals that I love that you can just change around, and it's really handy to have that in a small space because it refreshes it without any kind of construction or big purchases, but it just makes it feel kind of like fresh. So I would love to show you my dining room, which is connected to my living room, and it's right here. And really the the main event of our dining room is this table, which I don't know how well you can see it, but it was designed by my friend Noah Phillips of the design studio Foreign National. And it was because this space in front of this window, when we renovated our apartment, this was a really tiny window and it had like 2 little doors that I guess it was supposed to, at one point, to overlook the river. But it was really dangerous, so we actually had it replaced with a picture window. But for some reason, because of the close proximity of our living room and the dining room, we needed a certain width that allowed us to pull it out, and we have seats on the other side. There's stools that we tuck under when we have people, friends or family over for dinner. And I just could not find the right dimensions for this space, so Noah and I worked together to develop a mood board for this. A lot of it was inspired by Charlotte Perriand, an architect and designer that worked a lot with Le Corbusier, and we created this table. So a lot of it is centered around the fact that it has 2 pedestals, which make it easier to move chairs around it and add more seating. And then these we had made with stitch room, and I love, this is the newest one that we just had made, and it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a regular standard poof, but it's made with this really special Paul Smith Maharam fabric that I love so much. And they move around really easily, they're comfortable, my daughter can sit on them, they're not precious. It's a really amazing table that is functional, but it also looks like art to me, and it's almost like a piece of sculpture that I love seeing every day. And lots of people have different things on their dining tables, like fresh fruit or flowers. For some reason, I always have fresh tomatoes on our table, and I always have markers because my daughter loves making art all the time. She's going to be 6 in October. So I usually keep a box of notebooks and, just something small with lots of art supplies in it. It's usually either here on the corner of the table or it's tucked on this end chair. And so whenever she's here, if she's, having breakfast or something, she always wants to draw. To be honest, keeping the markers there and the pencils, it makes me and my husband want to draw too. So for some reason, having them there and having them easily accessible makes us want to use them all the time, which is really fun. It's probably why we have so much stuff everywhere. But yeah, we love our dining room. I mean, it is really a magical place to sit and have tea or sit with a friend, or sometimes if it's, to have a change of space from the upstairs office to come down here with my laptop and write and look out the window. It doesn't feel like a small apartment at all. It feels really expansive and beautiful. I did a reel about finding this Alvar Aalto stool on the sidewalk. I was walking home from school, picking up my daughter, and I saw it down the block. It was on the top of a pile of trash, and there was a doorman walking in and out, and he was organizing the trash. I guess someone had moved out and left it, and it still has like the Alvar Aalto sticker on it, but Alvar Aalto is like one of my favorite architects, and my husband's as well. We went to Finland and saw a lot of his buildings when we were in Helsinki. So to have like an original Alvar Aalto stool that we just found on the street is unbelievable. And it's very comfortable too. It's like his classics, it's one of his classic stools. I'd love to show you the kitchen. Like everything else, it's kind of connected to the rest of the apartment. First of all, I love this Donna Wilson mug. She makes beautiful ceramics. She's based in London. Oh, and these are Alvar Aalto stools too. I forgot to mention these. When we moved into this apartment, there was nothing here. And I think it was sort of an unexpected move to have a concrete sort of bar made. My husband found this 3rd generation family out in Bay Ridge that make all this incredible concrete stuff. And they made this for us. We got to go out there and watch them mix different proportions to get the right color and the right texture. It was really, really fun to do that with them. And it's a really wonderful place to gather with friends, to have coffee in the morning. My husband really loves working here. You know, having a small kitchen isn't for everybody. We can't keep all of our stuff out, but I also don't like to have all my stuff away either, because that's not really high functioning for us. Like, we have a rice cooker, we have an air fryer, my Bodum tea kettle is really important to me. I found these pendant lamps on eBay like 20 years ago before I even had a home, and they're old Rolleiflex. I think it's Rolleiflex, I think that's how you say it, but I love them so much. And when we were doing construction on our apartment, one of the contractors like pulled them out of a box that we had had in storage, and they were still kind of grimy, and he loved them so much. He took a toothbrush and he cleaned them for us because he was so captivated by them, which I thought was very sweet. But I think it's a real working kitchen. So we have a lot of stuff out that we use all the time, but I try not to have too much stuff out. It still has like a mix of like some artwork, and, you know, like this is a pepper grinder from, like, it actually works. And I can't remember who the arts and crafts artist is who made it, and it doesn't have the signature on it, but isn't it pretty? I think to have household objects that are really just useful but beautiful to look at is kind of special. So yeah, this is my kitchen. It's small, but it works. Our house is not precious. I think it's beautiful, but it's important, especially now that we have a child. It's like, I want her to feel like she has input in how we design it. And even though I have a very strong vision for the space that I live in and that I love, but using tape, it's like, you know, the kind of tape we use, my husband gets it at the hardware store. It doesn't leave any marks, and it's just a way for us to change up what we're looking at in a different pastiche of images. Like, this is another drawing that she did that I just think is really special and cool. And, you know, when she creates something new or we do something together, we'll add it. Sometimes we'll take pieces down and we'll put them away. And I think it's just nice to use spaces that you see every day in ways that maybe you wouldn't think of. It's not just for the refrigerator, which, funnily enough, we don't have as much artwork on the refrigerator, but yeah, it's just like another kind of place to create memories, I guess. We have all really small appliances. We have a Miele dishwasher. It's the smallest dishwasher they actually make. And this is a Liebherr, I think it's a Liebherr, Liebherr. It's also the smallest refrigerator and freezer, which actually still feels kind of substantial. And because my husband, who is an architect, he has a small firm called Baxter Projects. There were two things. We didn't want a lot of overhead cabinets that can make a small space feel really bulky, can sort of make the ceiling even feel lower, so we didn't have a lot of those. And he put custom covers on all of our appliances just to make it look more seamless and a little bit lighter, and it really helped. Although we do have some chipping and stuff, we need to have it repainted, but who cares? It's just life, right? Do I have a green thumb? I would say I am a very intuitive plant person. If something requires any kind of very specialized care, it will immediately die in our stead. I just repotted this fig tree. It was really not doing well at all because we had never repotted it from when we got it, when we moved in here. It was like literally doing a renovation in our house. It took like a full day. My friend Cecilia, once when she came over and she sat on the sofa and she was looking at some of the plants, she said that it felt like Los Angeles or Laurel Canyon in the 70s, or what she would imagine that would have felt like with the sunlight and the plants, and it just feels kind of earthy, but cool. So yeah, I like plants. Let's go to the bedroom, but on the way, this hallway right here is pretty special because it was kind of a dead space when we moved in. My husband cut out some of, well, first of all, his closet is here. You'd never even know it was here. We made the hallway a little bit narrower, so we could have some hidden storage in here. This is where we keep our coats, and this is his closet. And even though we took some space away from the 2 bedrooms, my daughter's bedroom and our bedroom, he made the flow so much more open and pleasant. Like, I didn't realize, sometimes when you have less space, if it's better organized, it actually feels more spacious, and he's really, really good at that. So I love the hallway. This is a piece of work that I have from Tom Francis, who is an art professor at Savannah College of Art and Design, and it's called Dollars and Cents, and it's been here since we moved in, and I love it so much. It just makes me really happy. Now we could talk about our bedroom. We're talking about a 750 square foot apartment. But because it's on the top floor of the building, we have skylights in all the rooms. This is a gigantic skylight for a bedroom, but we do have a shade that we close at night. And it's pretty small. I mean, I think this room is about 70 square feet or 80 square feet, but my husband created a really beautiful closet for me, and we have storage above, which is awesome. And I just love it. I find it so soothing, and we try not to have too much clutter here. We didn't have room for all my shoes in the closet, so we created this tower that's tucked away in what would have been just like a lost corner. And it's also one of the things in our apartment when we have friends come over, they're always like, "Oh my God, I love your shoe tower." And then, I don't know about you, but I kind of hate dressers. They always seem kind of like wonky or old-fashioned, or they don't hold enough stuff. So we created these custom cabinets with a local carpenter. It made a huge difference because we could make them a little bit bigger, but a little bit less deep. So they fit this space really well. And I like that they kind of flow into the wall. I also really love an accent chair, even in a small space. I feel like everyone needs a spot to just chill out and get away from your family sometimes, or when things just feel kind of overwhelming or exhausting. And I actually really love coming in here and having a cup of tea and closing the door. And there's always going to be a mix of artwork. This is an old Andy Warhol poster that we had framed. This is a collage that I also found on the sidewalk in Brooklyn Heights, and I love it. I think it's really beautiful. And it's the coziest spot in our apartment. My daughter loves coming in here and watching a movie with me or reading together. It's pretty special. I have a thing for vintage quilts. This is one of them. And I found this. You can actually see the edges are really frayed. I bought it at an antique store, and it actually was the quilt that the owner of the store had in her childhood bedroom in the Midwest. And I couldn't believe that she was selling it. She just seemed like someone that wanted somebody to appreciate this quilt that she had. So I hand washed it when we brought it home, and it just is, I think it's beautiful. I mean, I really struggled with whether or not to keep it on the bed or hang it up on a wall as a textile, but we didn't even have a wall that was big enough to accommodate it, so it's on our bed. Yeah, I love a quilt. I always have, you can actually see I have a couple more quilts down here, and here's more fabric swatches. Sometimes I put spare fabric swatches on the foot of the bed. I think it's something I love to look for in thrift stores and antique stores is fabric remnants. You can do so many things with them as tablecloths for outdoor tables, or if you're just having a friend over for coffee, it's just to make things look a little bit different and cool is fun. This is from a collage that my friend Suzanne Lagassa, she's the creative director at Dwell magazine. She and her daughter made it for me and my daughter. This is a drawing that my 5-year-old daughter did of our countertop, the concrete countertop, and she drew everything on the countertop, including the bag of our cat treats, which I thought is hilarious. This is one of her drawings. This is a note from my dear friend Dree. I love Yoko Ono. This is an original photograph of George Harrison, but I have like an old 1980s paparazzi photograph of Yoko Ono that I had framed. I love her so much. I mean, can you tell I love Yoko? And this is a dog named Juno. It was my first foster dog. And the woman who adopted Juno from me when I was fostering her, she's an artist that lives in Brooklyn Heights. Her name is Janet Zweig. And she was another reason why we moved here, because she became a really dear friend, and she's still our dear friend. Juno passed away 2 years ago, which was really heartbreaking, but also such a lifetime to have, just lived nearby her. And anyway, I love her, so I always keep a picture of her there. I got this lamp at Brimfield, and it was another thing where I had to find a shade that fit it, and I love it. It's really beautiful. Lamps is also something that I find very, very hard to find. A lot of new lamps just look really cheap and yucky, and they don't actually have really nice light. This one is perfect. It's really perfect. Because we don't have a lot of space, I like to use my closet doors as kind of styling opportunities, and sometimes I just like to pull out things like this Marc Jacobs dress that a friend actually just borrowed for a photo shoot. I think it's beautiful, and I don't want it to sit in the closet where people can't really see it, so this is a Blanca blazer, and this is just a vintage bag, so I'll just change them up sometimes. It gives me new outfit ideas. Sometimes I get into a rut like everybody does, and I think using your closet door as like a kind of a decorating opportunity is fun. In the wintertime too, because we don't have a ton of closet space, and I love a coat. I love statement coats. I'll actually put a few coats on these hooks so I have just more variety and I can keep them out. I have one of them over here. I had my husband put this secret hook over here where I keep a lot of my vintage, like vintage that I don't necessarily want to be hidden. But I don't necessarily use it all the time. But I have, like, this is a gorgeous dress that my friend Tia Chobani designed when she used to do women's wear. Isn't it amazing? But I don't want it to be in a closet, so I really love having it just somewhere where I can see a peek of it. It just makes me really happy. So if you have beautiful clothes, or even just like 3 pieces of beautiful clothes, or a great bag. This is old Loft Randall. I just like to have it out, so I don't know, you can appreciate it and you don't forget that you have it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I forget what I have. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Hidden storage areas are very, very handy. I think in a small space, looking at every corner as an opportunity to either display something. Like, I didn't even notice this. I guess my daughter put that up. Isn't that hilarious? I didn't even notice it until now. Yeah, so I think trying to always look for new opportunities to see your home in a new way is a big part of my newsletter, so people can appreciate their spaces and really get the most out of them, even if they're small or awkward or temporary. That's kind of the basis of my newsletter, and what I love writing about the most is, like, how do we make our spaces a really true reflection of ourselves and the kind of lives that we want. So right next door to our bedroom is my daughter's bedroom, which is officially, other than the bathroom, the smallest room in the house. It started out as a guest room. My daughter wasn't born when we bought the apartment, and one of my favorite things about her room is the fact that we painted it this really dark, it's almost like navy blue, charcoal gray. It almost looks black sometimes. And we wanted the guest room to really feel soothing and cozy and safe, and really kind of building on this idea that it's tiny, so we wanted it to feel almost womb-like. And we didn't change it when it became her bedroom, because I just had a feeling that she would sleep well here, and she always has. So I definitely encourage you, if you have a really tiny room, to consider painting it a darker color. And also, we used Faro and Ball. I think this is Railings. I think that's the color. or downpipe, I can't remember which one it is, but Farrow and Ball uses a lot of natural materials like clay in their formulations. I believe it's clay. So when light comes through at different times, it almost looks, sometimes it looks a little greener, sometimes it looks a little bluer, and I just love it. So the paint color is a really big part of what makes this room special, and I love that my husband built these custom cabinets for our laundry room, so it's like a little secret laundry room. You know, we have like a linen closet in here, we have a little laundry hamper, and then we have a little bit more winter storage up here. This is a nugget that my daughter will pull out when she has friends over and they're playing. So it's small, but it's really efficient, and it's almost like being on a train car. We actually found this West Elm Kids bed that matched the custom cabinets that we already had in here for her. This used to be her changing table when she was a baby, and this fit perfectly in this nook, so it really does feel like when we're laying in her bed and reading before she goes to sleep at night, and this overlooks our street, and it feels like you're actually in a train. It's wild. And then this is I love this painting so much. That's me and my daughter. It's a portrait that my friend Milo Porter is a LA-based painter. She did it for us, and I think it's really beautiful. Tons of books. The other thing that I think is handy, I don't know how this looks. It could be a little bit messy, so bear with me. Behind the door, we put in some pegboards, so we had a little bit more storage for my daughter's clothes and dresses and things like that. It's also great, so she has things at her eye level and also at her disposal, so she can grab things and she can dress herself and she can experiment with her clothes and she can see them, and sometimes we'll move them all around because, again, it's like having those visual cues is really something that she seems to love. And so I try to encourage it wherever I can, and looking at her clothes more as like these colorful moments. And she really appreciates textiles too, like I do. So it's kind of a nice little secret storage area. So let's head over to our bathroom. It's the only bathroom in our home. So when we renovated the apartment, my husband made the bathroom a little bit bigger, again, cutting into some of our other living area just to make this room feel more substantial and more luxurious. We found the deepest soaking tub we could because taking baths is a huge part of my daily life and my mental health. So we made the bathtub area really beautiful and kind of spa-like. And the floors have radiant heat, so in the winter when it's really cold, we have a little temperature thermostat here. We can actually make the floor really warm, and sometimes if my husband gets up before me, he'll turn it on, so when I get up and go to the bathroom, it's like really toasty in here. These are Donna Wilson. Again, she just does such a beautiful job with textiles and patterns and abstract colors, and so these are her towels, and these are both vintage bathrobes. And yeah, I try not to have too much stuff out so it feels really functional and beautiful, but you know, almost transporting in a way. It feels really soothing. It doesn't have a window in it, which at first I thought was kind of creepy. I mean, everyone needs like a window in a bathroom, but we have a really great vent, and I don't know, it just makes it really, it's very soothing and calming in here. Sometimes I'll come in here and meditate, and I actually think it would be pretty cool to actually record a podcast in here because it's very quiet. So yeah, that's our bathroom. The one bathroom that is like the greatest bathroom ever. So the last little bit of our apartment is the loft office, which again used to be a storage area. And my husband had like the genius idea to turn it into this little working nook. You can't actually stand fully upright up there, and I think the dream is to pop the roof eventually and add a little bit more height to it. But it works really well, and it's a wonderful place to work and write, so come on up. It's definitely a nook, and it's also a really wonderful place to read under this skylight, which we had put in, and there's a vintage Danish lounge chair here, and I have my whole mood board here, which I love. But yeah, this is where I work and write, and my husband's desk is over there. It's a little bit messy, so we're probably not gonna look at it right now, but it's a pretty, you know, as home offices go, it's pretty wonderful, and it works really well. I always wanted to be an editor and a writer, from the time I was really little. I've had several professional experiences. I worked at the New Yorker as an assistant. I worked at Gourmet Magazine as an editor. It was the first place I became an editor. Helped my friend John McDonald. He had founded this magazine called City, and I became his first editor. And that was incredible. And then starting Refinery in 2005 with 3 other co-founders was really, at the dawn of the internet as we know it today, was really extraordinary. I started this newsletter, A Tiny Apartment, in 2022, 2022. And it's interesting that it's sort of going back to the beginning of the internet and I guess blogging and writing again and doing things on my own with a small team. My friend Landon helps me as an editor and a creative director, and it's been really fortifying to relearn how to be a writer and also how to create a newsletter that I hope is really inspiring and resourceful and feels additive in people's lives and not like more garbage. So building and growing this newsletter, A Tiny Apartment, is really what I'm super passionate about now, and really helping to draw more attention to this idea that our spaces are really a reflection of our lives and what we want to create, and how we actually take care of them and tend to them has so much to do with our style and vice versa. And I really love that small spaces can have this very expansive kind of impact in our lives, especially when we pay more attention to them. I think that because I use my desk every single day, it has such a palpable energy to it. So I try to burn incense up here. I have this wonderful spray by Sangre de Fruta. This one is Jasmine, and it's just really nice to just like spray it up here to make the air feel fresh. And it's kind of like my cue to myself that I'm about to work. And I have a journal, and I just make sure that it's a really inspiring space, that it's not just about work, but when I come here, I'm going to feel inspired, I'm going to feel motivated, I'm going to feel like I'm going to have some new ideas. So making it as fun and moving as it is a productive workspace is really important to me. I think that's why having a dream board is like, I'm always changing things around and taking things down and putting them back up, and it's almost like a physical manifestation of my brain, and it's like cleaning out your brain pretty regularly. Home means safety and a sense of belonging, and it also means the freedom to express myself and a safe space to experiment and take risks, and it's kind of my own personal laboratory to continually discover who I am and what I want to create in the world. That's what my home is to me. Thanks, Homeworthy, for coming over to see my apartment. I'll see you next time.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Jasmine. Welcome to my Brooklyn apartment. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Hart. I'm a program coordinator at a girls nonprofit, and we are at my home in Brooklyn, New York. So I came to New York straight from college. It was straight out of senior year. I had a job offer, which was really exciting because I didn't have to stress. So I moved straight to New York. In terms of finding this apartment though, this was my first time going out and living by myself. I've been here for close to 10 years now. And so finding this place was hard. Anybody who lives in New York knows it's stressful finding an apartment. And I feel like for me, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted an apartment that had a living room. I wanted 2 bedrooms because I was working from home post-COVID, and I knew I really wanted like a dedicated office space / creative zone for me. I'd been working in my bedroom prior to that, and I just found it hard to draw the line between your resting zone and where you were working. So that was really important to me. And then I had a budget, of course. In terms of finding this, it was so hard though, because every place I looked at, I saw 2 bedrooms, but there was literally 0 living room. The living room was like the kitchen extended, but you had maybe 2 feet of space. So when I found this place, I walked in, I was immediately sold and put my deposit down probably within 10 minutes of walking out of the apartment, and that is how I ended up here. Welcome to the living room. This room is such a stunning space. There are multiple different moments happening within it. Over here, we have what I call the entertainment area. This piece right here, this beautiful credenza, is probably the most expensive thing in my whole apartment, but it's so worth it. It's from Anthropology. I see this as a forever piece, something that will go from home to home with me. And what is really special about it that I adore is these swivel doors. I think you typically see a credenza where the doors open straight out, but these swivel all the way back. And here's where my purses are stored. For anybody who wonders, where can you store things in an apartment like this? We do everything in all of the different spaces. So this is my purse storage, but I love these swivel doors. And on our other side, we have glassware, sunglasses, and all the other random stuff I want to hide from outside eyes. One thing that I felt was really important in a space like this where there's no windows in the living room was mirrors. And Kendra found this beautiful mirror from Crate and Barrel, and I felt like it opened up this window in the space that didn't have a window on its own. So when light comes in from my office and bedroom, it bounces off of this and really makes the space feel way more open than it would feel without a mirror here. So I definitely recommend, if you're in a home similar to this where you don't have light in a room, natural light I should say, definitely recommend mirrors. They definitely open up the space and make it feel way more inviting and welcoming. I love little trinkets and objects, and especially quirky ones. This hand vase is one of my favorite pieces. I randomly stumbled upon it. I can't even tell you where it's from, but I just love it. I think it already adds something to any space I put it in, and it's just fun. I love a piece that makes me smile. This beautiful Nadine Ijewere piece is really kind of the catalyst for the whole living room. This piece grounded so many things because it's full of color. It supports and showcases Black women in such a beautiful way, and really is a lot of the color palette that I wear in my everyday life. So bringing that color palette into this art and then into the space was such a natural extension of this piece. This beautiful lamp is so special. I love the irregular shape of it. It just adds something to the space. There's so many rounded corners in this space. The shape of this lamp felt like it was just a natural extension of everything else that's happening around the living room. This is by Kelly Wearstler, and it's just a really special piece. This corner is the one that if you have ever seen me on these internets, this is probably what you're most familiar with. I make fashion content typically on TikTok, and this is where everything is recorded. I love having beautiful branches here. Just adds to the drama of the outfit of the corner of what we have going on in the space. This piece is, maybe if I had to pick a favorite child, this is what I would pick. This is a piece that I commissioned from an artist, Trisha Abe. I stumbled across her on TikTok, and her art just really spoke to me. I felt like it just captured something that my soul resonated with. And so I reached out to her, and it was a real journey of figuring out even what the color palette of this would be. She created this beautiful design, and then we kept asking for more color here, and I feel like the color that we ended up going with in this picture really is what made the rest of the space become so vibrant and so colorful. I absolutely adore this piece, and this is something that I know will basically be with me for the rest of my life. Whether it's in a closet, whether it's in a future office, this is something I look forward to handing down to somebody one day. So now we're moving into what I call the lounge portion of the room. So we had our entertainment over here, and this middle section, basically all over this rug, is what I call the lounge area. So this is where we'll gather with friends, we'll be able to hang out, we're all just in this little vibe. I love this chair. It really has that beautiful rounded element that I feel like is really prevalent in this room. And then this pillow, which was an Etsy find, just feels really special. And I think whenever this is not on this chair, I feel like something's missing. So I really love how this just adds such vibrancy to this little olive green chair. These two floating shelves are just simple little IKEA shelves, but they added so much to the space. One thing that we originally tried when Kendra and I were trying to figure out what this living room would look like was we went with a darker piece right here originally. But when you have a space like this where there's no windows, it actually really does drag down the space and may feel too heavy. So if you're in a room like this where there is no window in the space, I definitely recommend light and easy floating shelves like these. And these are very inexpensive since they're IKEA. I love coffee table books, so this is really where the collection is showcased. A lot of black coffee table books that I'm really such a fan of and that constantly inspire me. This one, the New Black Vanguard, is definitely one of my favorites, but there's so many great ones, and I think this is something that I love to encourage. If my friends come over and they're like looking at a coffee table book, flip through it, be inspired, get what you need to get from it. And so these are something that's definitely not just for show. We flip through these, we utilize these, we get inspired by these. Also up here are just little trinkets that I love. This cup is one that is from my grandmother's old tea cup collection. She has a bunch, but I have one that I brought back with me. It's just really special. I don't know how old it is, but she had a bunch of mismatched ones, and this one I just adored. So one of the little trinkets that's out here. I love a fun candle. These little anthropology candles I think are just great to add a little spice to a space. So this one is one of those. This is their most recent spring collection. Then we have a lovely little onyx bowl. I think adding these little pieces like this one and the one that is on my coffee table, it's just a great way to add texture into the space, which naturally adds depth into the room. So just adding in beautiful little trinkets like this are definitely something that will add something to any space you have. For my coffee table, we went with this lovely one from Article. Again, really focusing on these round cylindrical shapes. I love it. It was just an easy piece that I felt like didn't distract from what else was going on in the room, but still gave me the space I needed for my coffee table books, my lovely H&M vase that I love, and to be able to showcase florals and different arrangements. So this is a room that I really wanted to be joyful, colorful, cheerful. So I felt like this rug really did that for me. This brand is Pieces. They handcraft these rugs in, I believe, India, but it's such a special piece. I felt like it wasn't too crazy, but still added color in the mix with the pink, neutral, and yellow elements. And it really is beautiful and really creates this own moment that's happening right in the middle of the space. This is my lovely little sofa. This is by CB2. This was just an easy piece to add here because the space is really limited and we didn't want a couch that really overpowered the room. So this one being neutral, again, that rounded element to it, texture with the boucle fabric, it just felt like a perfect fit. And even though it's small, it can still fit 3 people on it. So it's still great for entertaining purposes too. Another thing that we did in this room is add in this lighting fixture. Really, all this room came with was recessed lighting, but it felt like it just wasn't the vibe, honestly, that we wanted the room to have. And we wanted something else that is an added element that would hang. So this lighting fixture was installed straight into the ceiling. This is something that you can do too as a renter with the permission of your landlord, of course. I did reach out to him prior to us just drilling a hole in the ceiling, but I think it adds so much to the space. Also, it allows me to not have to turn on the bright lights. I can also just turn on these with the click of a little remote and have that more mood lighting that I would love in the evenings to not be overpowered by that overhead lighting. Also, one thing we did in this space, when I first moved in, the space was really dreary, I would say. I loved everything about the apartment, but it did feel really dark. This room specifically, and actually the whole apartment, was painted a kind of dark gray, and then there was a black trim across the whole apartment for all of the baseboards. That really brought down this room because there's no windows in here. So painting this room white immediately opened it up, made it feel brighter, made it feel more fresh, and allowed us to have a really clean palette to work with as we designed this room. And then it's something we took into the rest of the apartment too, just so we didn't have to play around with that gray. We started with this really clean, stark white, and then we were able to build from there. We have another beautiful moment in this corner. We started off with this lovely little end table from CB2, just really beautiful marble at the bottom, really grounding the space with some lovely coffee table books. And I always have a candle around along with a little floral arrangement. We have 2 incredible art pieces up here. This first piece is by Tosin Badamosi. This beautiful photograph really showcases the softness and beauty of Black women. It feels like she's just regal, elegant, soft, beautiful, and it felt like a really grounding piece to have in the living room. This second piece is by Otis Kwame Chikweku. It's such a great piece that really just showcases Black men in color, in fun spaces. It's very vibrant, and it just felt like, again, fits that joyful, colorful, beautiful theme that we're going for in this space, again, by two amazing Black artists. I think growing up, I'm originally from Michigan, and so I'm used to a home. I'm used to way more space. And so moving to New York, I always knew I would have to sacrifice that. But in my previous two apartments that I've had in New York, the living room felt like such a paramount space, especially in my last apartment I lived in with one of my close friends. Our living room was such a just hub. Like, our friends came, we hung out there. It's where we were pre-parties, we hosted potlucks. So for me, as I moved into this space, I knew I wanted the ability to still host and have friends over. So I knew I needed that dedicated space, because otherwise, are we gonna hang out in my bedroom? Like, I don't know where else we would be. So the living room was really important for me because I felt like that was a space where I could bring my community in. So the last moment that's happening in the living room is this beautiful dining nook area. Kendra came up with this great concept of a banquette, just so in such a small space, I could still host friends. There was enough seating for everyone, and it would still be able to have dual purpose. So this beautiful banquette not only serves the purpose of seating, but there's also a ton of storage at the bottom, which I'll show you in a minute. First, I want to talk about this table and these lovely chairs. These chairs are amazing because these were a Facebook Marketplace find. And then Kendra and I went to Mood Fabric and found this lovely little textile and had these reupholstered. So it's a great way to, if you find a chair you like, but you still want to infuse some fun into it, you can always reupholster that fabric, getting whatever is custom to what you want your space to be like and feel like. Our table is a simple little Wayfair find, but to spice it up a little bit, I love a little placemat. These Deucin and Deucin placemats just add a little bit of fun and quirkiness into this table and into the corner space. Now moving into our lovely banquette, this piece is so fun. I actually think without the grounding of this pink, I would want way more color in this room, but because this is so pink and vibrant and girly, it just does everything I needed to. This was more of a DIY project. We found somebody who could make this, but I think this is such a great piece that you could make at home. There are so many tutorials online of how to make a little headboard, whether it's with like pool noodles or just stuffing. That's really what this back base piece is. Then we have a lovely cushion here that is used for seating. But at the bottom here, this is actually all storage. So this is based on the IKEA Besta storage system, and that is what acts as the base of this item. And this is where all of my boots are stored. So as a fashion girl, I have a lot of shoes. I have a lot of tall and long boots. So this space is so perfect for that. All three of these are filled with my shoes. So dual purpose, even in the living room, we're still finding a little storage for the rest of our lives. These are a real DIY piece that Kendra created using just cardstock. So you could go to your local art supply store and look at the beautiful paper they have. And she really just created these beautiful layered pieces using different colors of cardstock. And I think they look really amazing and really expensive, and just add again that vibrancy, that color, that fun into the space. A little bit of quirkiness, but on a great budget. And then the last two pieces in this room are by Uzo Joku. I am obsessed with her artwork. It's just so stunning to me. Really focuses on the Black experience, on community, on really what it looks like to come together as a unit. This piece to me is really also symbolic of New York. When you look at an apartment building, you don't know what's happening in everybody's space, but in this piece, it feels like you're seeing it. You're seeing the couple loving each other at the top. This person, he's listening to music, he's in his own world, but it's just all of a community coming together. And then this little piece, I loved it because it kind of just felt like me. The single woman in her colorful little journey, entering into her colorful, beautiful space. It just felt like it spoke to me, and I felt like it would be perfect to round out this little corner. So I have actually been on a journey of rediscovering what I'm doing for a living. When I moved to New York, I actually worked in fashion for the first 8 years. So I worked as a buyer. It was my dream job, my dream career. It's actually what my dad did as well. So it was something I had always longed for, and it came to fruition, and I loved it. But there was a point in time after that 8 years had passed and somebody was like, what do you want to do 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself going in this field? And I couldn't answer the question. I didn't see myself there, and I came to the realization of like, this is actually not where you're gonna be long term. You've learned a lot, you've done a lot, and you really enjoyed it, but this isn't what you're gonna do forever. So I actually went on a year of soul searching. I thought it was going to be maybe like 2 months. I quit a job, I'll take a break, I'll figure it out, and then I'll find a new job in a new industry or career path. It ended up being a year. But during that year, I feel like I really found myself. I figured out what I wanted to do, and it was completely different. So I went from working in the fashion industry to working with high school girls now. So complete 360. So now I am at, like I said, a girls nonprofit where I am working as a program coordinator. As a part of my job, I am training girls in things like leadership, how to be confident in yourself, how to stand tall in front of a room. All of these girls lead clubs at their school where they teach these things to their peers, and it's really been beautiful. I've only been there for maybe a month and a half now, but it's been beautiful because every time I come home, I feel like I did something with the day. I feel like I made an impact on someone. I feel like I made a difference in somebody's life, and it's been really sweet to connect with them and feel like the work I'm doing and what I'm like pouring my soul into is actually making the difference in the lives of this next amazing generation that's coming up after us. So right outside my bedroom, I had this little moment when I had no furniture, had nothing going on in the apartment, bought probably 3 pieces. This is one of the 3 pieces I bought. I saw this bust by Anissa Kermiche, and I just thought it was beautiful. It felt really symbolic of womanhood, of color, of what it just looked like to be a woman in today's society and what I wanted my home to represent as a woman. So I really wanted this to be something that was just a grounding piece in the space. Layered it up with some coffee table books, again, just adding that element of color and fun. Then we have this lovely mirror on top. Again, I think mirrors are so important when you have a space like this. When you have small apartments like many of us do in New York, I think mirrors just really open it up more. They reflect light, they feel more open. They do feel like mini windows throughout the space. This mirror is by Crate & Barrel, and it's a great find. So this isn't the prettiest thing in my apartment, but it's really meaningful. I am a Christian. I follow God, and I love Jesus. And so this wall is a wall of verses that really ground me, verses that I need to be reminded of. And I really felt like it was important to put it on my door so that as I was walking out of the space, I was grounded in the truth of Scripture and the truth of what God says about me, about my safety in this crazy city of New York, and in what I can do in this life. One verse that I think has really grounded me in the season of life that I'm in right now is Philippians 1:6, being confident in this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Makes me just feel like God started a great work in me, and because of that, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come to pass in his way, in his timing, in his will, even in my singleness. All those things are gonna come to pass because he started that good work within me. When I found this space, I loved it, but I immediately knew configuring the living room was gonna be hard for me. I am so accustomed to having a couch against a wall that when I saw this space, I was like, okay, could it go on this wall? No, it'll face the kitchen. Can it go on that wall? No, then you have to like look straight across the whole living room to see the TV. So I knew that was gonna be a big challenge for me, and I knew what I wanted my apartment to feel like. I wanted the vibe to be, but I just like genuinely could not figure out how to configure the space. So I immediately knew I had to reach out to my friend Kendra, who is an interior designer from Cusick and Warner Design, to really bring this space to life. I knew she would be able to figure out how to configure it in a way my brain just genuinely could not. So for me, having an office was really important because at that time I was working from home, maybe I wanna say 90% of the time. And then during COVID, I taught myself how to sew. So I was using YouTube University, got a sewing machine and taught myself how to sew. And it was a hobby I really became passionate about. And so I knew I just didn't know how everything could fit into a 1-bedroom without looking super chaotic. So for me, I was like, okay, an office would be great because then I could do my work here, but I could also pursue this like thing that I'm really enjoying doing. And and actually have the space to do it. If anybody sews, you know it takes up so much space with your machines, with all of your fabric, with just the mannequin. It's a lot. So for me, I was like, I want a room that can house all this stuff. It doesn't have to be a massive room, but I just knew having that second space would be really important for me. So I knew my bedroom, I really wanted it to feel like an oasis. It was gonna be like this peaceful zone where I could just kind of zen out when I walked into it. So for me, I knew where the other part of the homes, I wanted it to be cheerful, joyful, colorful. I wanted the bedroom to just be kind of like a vibe. It was gonna be really beautiful, a space where it like made me feel like I was going into this very restorative, restful space. So Kendra really worked around that vision, and she got this beautiful wallpaper that I think just set the tone for the whole room. And immediately, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, you're home, you're going to sleep, you're resting in this beautiful, peaceful zone. I think what I like most about my apartment is the fact that I feel really joyful every time I come in. I think for me, I really wanted a space that when I walked in, I just felt joyful, creative, happy, and I think how the design turned out really captured all of that. I was recently sick with the flu, and I think it really allowed me to see how much I am obsessed with my apartment. It really reminded me that this is like the dream space that I always wanted, and it's really come to life. So as I look around, I don't have a favorite piece or a favorite space. It's just the feeling that it gives me is my favorite part about it. Now, welcome to my office, my creative zone, my workout studio. All of the above happens in this zone. So first off, we have my actual work desk. This is where she does her 9 to 5. Technically, my job is 10 to 6, but this is where that work happens. I actually only work from home 2 days out of the week, so I'm not in here that often, but I love this little desk. It was a West Elm find, and it has gone with me for a few apartments now, and it's just been a great little hub for me to get my work done. Above that, I have these lovely shelves from IKEA and really just have my book collection up here. I love to swap books with people, so I never have too many books in my apartment at once, but just enough to fit on these little lovely shelves up here. And I did add in this lovely vintage piece that I found at a thrift store, literally for $2, but it's this super cute basket that's made with all of these old soda bottle tops. I love it. On the top shelf too, we have other artwork. One thing that I do that I think may be a little controversial is if I have small art pieces that I need and they're really tiny, if I can't afford to buy art at that time, I will take art from my coffee table books. So I take my lovely coffee table books, I cut out the artwork, and I frame it. And it is still showcasing the artist's beautiful work, but coming from a coffee table book in the meantime. So that is where I found these two beautiful images in one of my black coffee table books. As we move forward in the room, we move into my gallery wall, my inspiration wall. This is really where I put everything that is just inspiring me at the moment, things that are making me happy. It includes cards that maybe my mom has sent me, things of that nature. They go up on this board right here, and then covered it with a gallery wall of just artwork that I love. There are artists that I love to support, like Christina Martinez, who made 2 of the prints that are in this space. There's also art by Uzo Joku all around my apartment, but it starts definitely in my gallery wall. And then I have just my sewing storage, but on top of that, we just have a few little pieces, a disco ball, because who doesn't love a little disco party? This beautiful blue vase I found at a just Brooklyn boutique, Kasaziki. Thought it was so special and had to jump on this one. And I filled it with just these little faux poppies. It's a great way to have color constantly in the space without feeling like you have to constantly buy new flowers. Our little coffee table books, and this leads into my sewing storage. So, as a hobby, sewing takes up a ton of space. You have to have fabric, and this is where I house it all. It is a mixture of fabric that I've thrifted, fabric that people have given me, or things that people have given me to flip into new items. So that all lives in this beautiful storage, and I'm happy to have it and happy to have the space to store it. This side is my sewing side, my creative zone. What I love about this being over here as well is when I'm on the other side of the room on my work calls, what you see in the background is my little hobby. So it's a woman who does both. On this wall, these lovely pegboards, what I love about these is these were just regular IKEA pegboards, but I decided to paint them pink just to add another pop in this room. Like I said, this is my creative zone where I'm sewing, coming up with designs, and so I really wanted it to be colorful, joyful, all of those things in this area. My lovely little sewing desk houses so many things that we definitely cannot open these drawers because it's a little scary, but it's a great storage for me. And I'm obsessed with this chair. So there are a few pieces that I bought when there was nothing in this apartment. I had zero furniture when I moved here from living with a roommate, but one thing that I bought immediately was this vintage chair. I had no clue where it would go, what purpose it would serve, but I follow some vintage boutiques in Brooklyn on Instagram. They posted this one to their story and I immediately replied and bought it on the spot, and they Ubered it to me. How amazing. But I love it. It has such great shape and I just think it fits perfectly in the space and definitely fits the vibe of this little creative zone I've created over here. My most recent art piece that I've bought is this lovely print. It is so gorgeous. It's by an artist I found on TikTok. Her name is Lauren of So It's Rin. I just think, again, it goes back to that fun, joyful. I love that it feels like this black woman with her colorful fro blowing in the wind. I often can be found with an afro, even though we're sporting the braids right now. So it just feels very representative of me and what I want my home to represent. One thing I added into this space was this little wall-mounted sewing rack. I used to have a small rack, clothing rack, and I felt like it really just didn't make sense. And I thought that this wall-mounted rack, I just got it from Wayfair, but it was just a great way to place my pieces that I'm working on sewing on. This is my most recent sewing piece. It's just this kind of little shacket denim with a little red pop on the side. This is thrifted fabric. So this was one of the pieces that I just finished about a week ago. So like I said, this room is my workout zone as well. In the mornings, I come in here, we do a little mat Pilates, maybe we do a little walking treadmill. The walking treadmill is right down here, stored under my sewing desk until we're ready to take it out. We also have a lovely weight rack in our corner of our room. This is for all of my little arm circuits that we're getting done. And on my other side, we have a lovely little yoga mat. So for this pegboard, I had to add all of these little different storage and clip elements. These are also all available from IKEA, but I really had to choose what I felt fit best for the space. I knew I really wanted to add some images up here. All of these were just ones that like really inspired me, whether it was the color story, the accessories that they're wearing. I love the color story in this image. That scarf has such intricate color and details, and I made a design kind of based on that before. So these things are all things that just inspired my mind when I saw them, and I was like, this is actually really great for me to see as I'm coming up with new ideas. And then all of these little pieces are different things that I just knew I would need during my sewing process. My thread for my overlocker. This is elastic for those little sleeve cuffs, those waistbands. Headphones for when I want to zone out and tune out the world and just sew. And then different little scissors and chalk for when you're trying to sketch out your pattern. So I've always wanted to sew my whole life, if I'm being honest with you. I actually started drawing pictures of items that I wanted to buy when I was probably 7. I had a sketchbook and it was all these really funny coordinating sets. It would be like a long sleeve shirt with a star in the middle with some star jeans or something like that. But it was always something that I thought was something that I could see myself doing. If you look at my 6th grade yearbook, it says in it, everybody had to write what you wanted to be when you grew up. I wrote I wanted to be a fashion designer. And so I decided though, as I got older, I wanted to take a more practical route. And so that is why I went to business school and then went onto the business side of fashion. But there was still always this little bit of creative spark within me that I knew I wanted to learn how to sew. I wanted to figure out how to do that without having to go to school. So honestly, when COVID hit, it just felt like the perfect time to invest in myself and use that time to teach myself a new hobby that I've always really wanted to do. So the last thing we did in this space was add in this beautiful light fixture from Hay. In this space, the whole apartment had these very dungeon-like light fixtures, very medieval, could be in the basement cellar of some weird medieval prison. That is what the lighting fixtures gave. But this room, we wanted it to be really light and airy and really bring that color in. So this little rice paper fixture felt like the perfect one to just round it off without being too distracting or being this focal point. It just kind of flows seamlessly with what else is happening in the room. So I always recommend, if you think your lighting fixtures off, that's such an easy thing to change and really get a whole new vibe in your space. I am probably one of Uzo Joku's biggest fans. I have her prints all throughout my apartment. These two beautiful ones are from her. One thing I love about her artwork is that it just makes you feel so proud to be Black, honestly. This Black woman smiling, really colorful, vibrant, red lipstick on. And this one really feels like just a sense of community. It really feels like Brooklyn to me, which you could see on any Brooklyn street. I love her prints. What I love most about New York is you're just surrounded by energy and creativity. You can walk out your door, walk through any neighborhood, and just be inspired. I love that. I also love that it's a city that encourages you to do stuff by yourself. You don't have to wait for somebody else to try out a new restaurant, try out a new hobby, something like that. I just feel like when I first came here, I was 16, and I felt like I arrived at home. I felt like it was just so full of life. I come from like a suburban area in Detroit, and it just was so different. And so being here, I just feel like I can fully express myself too. I can wear my craziest outfit, my most extravagant outfit, and not feel like I'm gonna stand out in the streets. Somebody on the subway will be wearing something equally as extravagant as me. So I feel like I love it because I feel like you're free to be whoever you wanna be on any given day without fear of judgment or somebody else wondering, why do you look like that? Truthfully, what I love about Flatbush is it's full of culture. I feel like I walk down the street, especially in the summer, there's Caribbean music everywhere. It's coming from the backyard next door to me. It's coming from the neighbors across the street. It just feels like it's very community driven and very culturally driven. I think especially working in the city where everything can feel like everybody's on a mission, everybody has a goal, everybody has a purpose, but it doesn't feel super, culturally sound in that sense. Coming back home here feels like you're coming home. I really like it because I feel like I personally needed a separation between where you work versus where you live. And so this actually reminds me more so of coming home to Detroit. I used to go to private school in a suburban area, transparently pretty white. And then I would come back home to very Black Detroit. And I feel like when I come back home to Flatbush, I'm coming back home to very Black Caribbean Flatbush after a day in the city. Welcome to my bedroom, my little oasis in my apartment. I love this wallpaper by Milton and King. When Kendra found this and showed it to me, I gushed. I died. I fell in love immediately. Once it was installed on the wall, once again, I died and was resurrected in my living room because of how perfect I thought it was. This makes me feel like I am in a hotel. I'm in luxury in my little Flatbush home. I paired it back with this beautiful West End bed. This is actually the first piece I bought. So before even starting to work with Kendra, before even deciding exactly what I was doing, I ordered this bed because it was like 5 months back ordered. So it worked perfect in the space. I love the pink velvet and how it plays with the wallpaper. My bed is one of my favorite parts of this room too. Kendra taught me a lot in this apartment. Let me just say that. One of the big things she taught me too is how to make a bed look fluffy and beautiful. The big secret is 2 duvet inserts. That is one thing I personally would have never thought of, and I think none of my friends had heard of. So it's really a great idea to make your bed look fluffy and luxurious, kind of like what a hotel looks like, or when you're looking at your favorite influencer's room and you don't understand how her bed looks so fluffy, she probably has 2 duvets in. In terms of lighting, in this apartment, every single room had the weirdest dungeon-like lighting fixture. It was black. It looked like we were in medieval times, and that obviously does not fit the vibe of the room. This beautiful lighting fixture, I love the scallop edge. This is actually just a Target find. We bought this probably 2 years ago now, and it's just stunning. I never thought I would have found a piece like this for such a good price, but it's perfect in the space. One question my friends ask me whenever they come to my apartment though is, where are all your clothing? I am a fashion girly, so the girls know I have, I don't want to call it an endless amount of clothes, but a lot of clothing, and you don't see it. I don't believe in clutter. It gives me a little bit of anxiety. So one thing that I loved about this bed, and the reason why I ordered it, is it's a storage bed. So there are really deep drawers down here that are just so incredible. So this is where I house a ton of my clothing, and it really is such a great solution, on top of course, storing stuff under the bed as well. So for anybody who sews out there, or even if you're interested in learning how to sew, a quick and easy project is making a pillow. And to save a few coins in this space, Kendra suggested that I make this pillow myself. So we went to Mood Fabric, found this beautiful pink that just felt like it was perfect with the vibe of this room, and I sewed it, and it's a great addition to the bed. So that's always something to think about. If you need to pinch a few pennies, you can make your pillow yourself. On this wall, I have a bunch of my family photos. I love my family. I come from a very small family though, so it's really me, my mom, my dad, and then my grandmas that I love dearly. And that is really what we built on this wall. Really just being able to see all of my loved ones in one space has been beautiful for me. Waking up, looking across and seeing them is so special. I have both of my grandmas who I love dearly. They both passed in 2020. And then it's been really special to have pictures like this one with my mom and dad in it, because my dad actually passed unexpectedly last summer. So being able to wake up and see my loved ones who are no longer here with me is really special to me. I love this picture specifically. This is when I graduated from Howard University, and my mom, dad, and grandma all came down to be with me. Looking at this one, this was our little unit all together, and so this picture is so special because I believe this is actually the only picture I have with all three of us together. This beautiful vase is actually a vintage thrifted find. What's really amazing about this though is we loved the shape when we saw it, but it was actually a bright blue with pink handles. So one thing you can always do in your home, and we did here, was just paint over it. Make it be what you need it to be for the vibe of your space and your room. And in this instance, that meant painting it white. This beautiful dresser is an Anthropologie find. I personally love Anthropologie Home, and I really wanted a dresser that fit just really the vibe of this room, didn't overpower it, was the perfect color wood, and this beauty was perfect for that. And then in terms of our curtains, I love really having just beautiful drapery. One thing that Kendra did for me that was really important was be able to create privacy here. There are buildings immediately behind me, and we didn't want peeping Toms looking in. So what Kendra did for me was create this double curtain rod. In the back, there's a blackout curtain that I'm able to use also so the sun doesn't have to wake me up in the morning. And then we still have this beautiful sheer curtain topped off with velvet. So there's technically 3 different layers of drapery happening here, and it's a really special way to be able to have the light coming in, but then also block out those people when you want to. I have this beautiful lamp from West Elm. One thing that we did in every room was have this option of different lighting. So if I didn't want the overhead lighting, there's always these mood little lamps throughout the apartment. This one is beautiful and just creates that kind of serene light that happens in the evening, so you don't have to be overpowered by an overhead lamp. So normally in a space like this and in a bedroom, I know people would normally use nightstands, but that would be really heavy in such a small room like this. So what we did instead was go with these 2 little end tables. They're really great because they're light and airy, but I still have the ability to place little objects that I love on them, like this photo of my dad, little coffee table books, and still have a little bit of storage without having something that overpowered the room. To me, home means your safe space, the space where you can fully express all of yourself. You're free to be all the versions of yourself that you want to be, that you desire to try out, that you desire to step into. For me, it's just where you have your peace, where you can feel joyful, where you can feel creative. I just think of home as where you can express all the sides, all the versions, all the iterations of yourself. You can find that and you can express it there.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.